Live. Live. Okay, I'd like to first of all apologize for those that are listening. We had a few technical difficulties. I'd like to call to order council meeting for the Corporation of the Township of Brudenell, Lendock, and Raglan for Wednesday, October the 27th, year 2021 at approximately 7:10 p.m. So Councillor Budrick.
Here.
Councillor Kaufman.
Here.
Councillor Lidke. Here. Councillor Rutledge. Here. Okay, so all council is present and accounted for, and Councillor Budrick is via teleconference remotely. A disclosure of interest on any of the matters before us tonight from any of the councillors.
Would you like us to go in alphabetical order, or how would you like to do it, Sheldon?
I can see everybody here, and I haven't seen none here, so I guess it's just you to disclose if you have any.
Yes, I do have payment. I would like to declare a direct pecuniary interest on the payments of the investigation to Investigative Solutions and to any legal. Clearly the ones that are associated with anything to do with my role as counselor, or any of the court actions, legal actions that have been ongoing. And also I'd like to further declare, as previously declared on September 1st, a conflict, and again, in an abundance of caution, on the Ombudsman report, as previously declared on September 1st, due to the potential of perhaps legal costs, court costs that may come from that. Thank you.
Okay, I see Councillor Lidke, you have.
Yeah, on this report for MWS on the Schroeder Road, I declared them not at the start, so.
You can do that, give me that in writing. You can give me that in writing. You have to do a form, which forms are here.
We'll get you a form there before the
Yeah,
meeting.
no problem.
And one from the last time too, you didn't file that one.
And Andrea, since you're remote, of course, you just have to file yours with the office. You can drop it in the Dropbox if you wish, or deliver it to the office, so.
Sure, and I have sent an email to the email address that I was provided, the temp BLRE email address. I'm not sure how often that is checked, but Sheldon, I did have a concern in looking at the minutes just about those declarations. It was my belief that I had filed the paper when I was in and paid my taxes, but I don't see that noted in the minutes. Again, I'm not sure if it's just it's my declarations have been attached to most minutes. So I did, just for the record, I don't know if anyone has checked the Dropbox, but before the meeting started, I refiled, or perhaps if by error somehow I left with it, I don't recall that, but I have left a copy of that declaration from September 1st in the Dropbox. Melanie dropped it off for me at 4:44 today.
Yes, and we have checked the Dropbox, and we are in receipt of your declaration.
Perfect. Thanks for confirming, because as I said, I did check back on my emails. I don't mean to take up your time, but I couldn't see a confirmation that it had been received.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, adoption of the minutes. I need a mover then that we, the council for the Township of Brudenell, Lendock, and Raglan, hereby adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting of September the 1st, 2021, special meeting of September 8th, 2021, and regular council meeting October the 6th, 2021, as printed and circulated. I need a mover on that. Councillor. Hello. Councillor Rutledge, seconder.
We have to make a motion for declaration in the September 1st
Yes.
minutes.
Yeah. Seconder.
I will second.
Councillor Kaufman. And any discussion? I know, Andrea, you had said before about your declaration of pecuniary interest in regards to the
September 1st meeting.
September 1st meeting, and we are in receipt of that, so.
And we'll amend.
Okay, and I just, sorry,
We'll amend.
I'm hearing a lot of
minutes
voices
to reflect
at
that.
once on my end.
Yeah, so we'll amend the minutes to indicate that.
So may I just ask for clarification, because again, I won't bring it up again if it's not necessary. Just, is it going to be common practice moving forward that I should expect to see my declarations attached? Like, I know other councillors haven't been attached in the past, but mine was, so that was immediately, I noticed that difference. Is that a practice that's going to continue moving forward? Or just because I don't see it attached, I shouldn't necessarily assume you didn't get it?
Well,
I just like,
because you have so much in it for us to put it into the minutes, like we'd be retyping the whole thing, so it's just as easy to attach it, and then it's exactly what you turned in. The other ones we get are one-liners, so we just repeat it in the minutes.
okay, so to be clear then, perhaps, Sheldon, may I ask that, that I'd like a clarification whether or not the hard copy had initially been received for September 1st or not.
No, it hasn't. I checked the book tonight, and there was 3 pecuniary interests at that meeting, and only 1 was filed.
All right, so for myself, again, I did send an email asking for confirmation that it had been received. And when I actually found that declaration in with my tax bill. So again, I apologize for the inconvenience, and I'm glad that I caught it on the minutes. I apologize.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I'll call for vote on the minutes then as amended. All in favor?
I actually had some other points I wanted to raise, if that's all right. I just didn't know, again, if you were going alphabetically, or because I can't see the room, I don't know if anyone else had anything else to raise.
There's nobody else, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So off the top, the October 6th minutes, I don't see a reflection there that I had asked for a recorded vote before council voted on the resolution number 4. So I would like that entered into the minutes.
I don't have any record of that, so I may have miswriting it down to you.
I'm sorry, someone is speaking and I can't hear it.
I don't have a record in my notes.
It's on the YouTube, on the BLR site.
Okay.
And then also on that September 1st minutes as well, again, it showed that I had declared a pecuniary interest initially in the declarations. And again, just to know what to expect and how you're preparing the minutes. In other minutes, when it had actually been declared was noted, and I believe that first declaration, there was a declaration that I made when I came out of closed, when we came back in, or was that the meeting? Again, because we don't get, I don't have closed minutes from that meeting. Was that the meeting where I didn't get called back into closed or open because I wasn't called? Like there was some issue there about me not, once I had declared and left the meeting, I wasn't called back or made aware of when the closed determined had ended for me to come back into open for the last segment of the open meeting. That isn't noted in this. Is that the first? I believe that was when we discussed, when the ombudsman report was first. I mean, it's noted here, moved by Irish Coffey, the adoption of the minutes, that I did not return to a meeting after the closed portion, but it's not stated why. It's not that I just said, I'm out. I had every intention of returning to the meeting.
Which meeting is that, Andrea?
September 1st.
Oh, it was after.
So that one is actually talking about the July 7th meeting. Sorry, that's number 3. Number 3 of the September 1st minutes talk about the meeting September 7th. So given it's noted there that September 7th, I did not return, I would like it noted here
Right
that
at the very
after
front
closed,
here.
I did return.
Number 3
After
is what she's talking about. On September 1st.
Oh, about the minutes of the July 7th meeting.
Well, it's referenced in the September 1st minutes. September 1st minutes, the adoption of minutes, the third under public, number 3, it says
Yeah.
resolution number 2 moved by Iris and seconded by John, that the council, Brunel, Lindock, and Raglan hereby adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting July 7th as amended to state that Councillor Budrick did not return to the meeting after the closed portion and special meeting of August 11th as printed and circulated. But it doesn't, in that discussion, we also did discuss that I wasn't given, like I wasn't told when to come back into open. I wasn't notified that closed had ended. That isn't in there.
You
And when
can,
I read these minutes,
we can't amend it because there was no decision that was made to change what we would put in the minutes. If you want to make a statement now saying that I did not return to the September 1st meeting because I was not notified when the meeting was open, we'll put that in, but I can't go back and fix these minutes.
I think it's been misunderstood. The point that I'm making is that because this states that I did not return, but it doesn't clarify because of that, my
Well,
questioning about September 1st is it our common practice now that when someone declares in a closed meeting and you return to the open, that it is noted in our minutes, no matter who it is, whether it's me or anyone else, that then we do note in our minutes of that meeting that the councillor declared in closed and returned to open? Is that going to be our practice that we are going to do that? Because it hasn't been done here. Because like July 7th, September 1st, I declared in closed a pecuniary interest, and I did return to the council chamber September 1st, but it's not noted in the minutes. So rather than amend them, let's note it now. Or you know what I mean? Let's not have this discussion like we are about July 7th. My point is, let's amend. Is that going to be our practice, number one? Because if our practice is going to be that we note it, that someone declared in closed, that we note that in our minutes of that meeting, I don't see it here.
Well, it's very difficult recording minutes when you've got regular council meetings and you've got council in the chambers and one person missing and then something goes wrong, then it's a big issue. Like normally councilors attend the meeting and everybody's in the room and that issue is taken care of.
So again, my question is it going to be our common practice? Mayor Keller, perhaps you can speak to this. That's all I'm asking. Is it going to be common practice that when a councillor returns to the open meeting after declaring once in the meeting, because that means you went into closed not realizing you had a pecuniary interest, you declare it in closed, and then it's not noted in our minutes that when you came out of closed, a councillor declared their pecuniary interest, because that's also a requirement, correct? Is that going to be our practice that we will note that?
It will be, if the councillor is in the open meeting to declare it, we'll record it.
Okay, so in this particular situation, where we came out of closed, that council comes out of closed, the mayor reported that during closed session, a review of the preliminary report and no comments. Council has discussed the bid for whatever, but there's no mention here that I declared a pecuniary interest in that closed meeting. So may I ask for that to be amended, to be added, that when we came into open, I declared a pecuniary interest.
And that was which meeting, the 7th of July?
No, the September 1st meeting.
First, but it was for the meeting of July the 7th.
So it was the
No,
July
no,
7th?
no, Sheldon, I declared that. That's the form that you just received today, September 1st. I declared a pecuniary interest and left the meeting while you guys finished discussing that ombudsman report.
Yes, and I said that we were amending the minutes to record your pecuniary interest. The motion is going to include an amendment to allow this pecuniary interest.
So you're going to
be
attach
recorded.
it,
It's going to be recorded.
and you're going, so again, are you then stating as the statement that my declaration will be attached to these minutes? But
Yes.
again, my question is, in the minutes, when we came out of closed, there is no mention. It talks about the resolution that was passed in closed, or the little report the mayor reported when he came out of closed, but he did not report, and there's no mention of the fact that I declared a pecuniary interest from the closed session. I believe that. I'm asking if you would add that to it, to amend that, to reflect.
It's up to you. I'm at a loss here.
Were you going to say something, Virginia? Or?
I'm
So,
sorry, I didn't hear that.
I'm allowing Virginia to speak.
Thank you.
under pecuniary interest, Councillor Bujic declared a pecuniary interest. That was for the closed portion. We didn't receive the pecuniary interest, so I couldn't elaborate on that, but it is in the minutes under the pecuniary interests.
And
Just
this
not
will be
under-
attached to the minutes.
Just not under the closed portion.
Yeah.
Because
So I guess my question is, when a counselor verbally stops a meeting to say, I have a pecuniary interest that I just declared in a closed meeting, that doesn't get noted in our minutes, just to be clear then. That's going to be our rule. Is that
Yes,
correct?
you're supposed to declare it when you go back to the open meeting, and if you're not back in the open meeting, you declare it at the next meeting of council.
That's right.
Yes, in the September 1st meeting, I came back into open and I declared. Unless, are you telling me that when you reviewed or whatever you do to draft minutes, are you saying that I did not declare when I came back into open?
We're not saying you didn't declare. We're saying that we didn't have your form. So
Okay,
if
so are
you don't
these
have
minutes to
your
reflect
written-
what happened in the meeting? Are these minutes to reflect what happened in the meeting?
Yes,
Okay, all right. I just raised the issue. If, you know, in the end, it's up to council to decide whether they amend it that way. I just think that it's important that when a councillor declares their pecuniary interest in open or in closed, that it be noted the way it was declared in the minutes. But again, I can.
exactly. But we need the written declaration to.
I'm aware of that, but if it happened in the minutes, if it happened at the meeting, are the minutes not to reflect what happened at the meeting?
They do.
Okay, all right,
It says you declared a pecuniary. It says you declared a pecuniary interest, but we didn't have the form.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
As amended?
Yes. Yeah. As amended, yes. Councilor Ruder?
Yes, I agree, as amended.
Okay, and that's carried. Okay, so we have no deputations, we're down to reports, the public works report is attached. I will hand it to Tammy. So basically, Tammy, if you don't mind, we'll go over one thing at a time as we go through it if it needs discussion.
All right. So Shorter Road construction started on October 4th. Everything is going well. There has been some unexpected issues, and I noted on the report that I will give the details tonight. So some of the issues arose in regards to the contents of the contract, and Mark was requesting information that neither I nor Charlie could answer. We met with him last Friday and we tried to answer his questions, but we couldn't. Mayor Sheldon happened to come along and we filled him in on the going-ons, and he suggested that we brought in Jason Ward to help mitigate the situation. The time was of the essence, as if we did not get Mark the answers he required, we would have ended up having to pay him for standby time. The recommendation from Jason at the end of the meeting, as you can see in the addendum number 2, we made some minor changes to the contract details, but Jason suggested that additional fill for the road surface totaling 2 feet instead of 1 foot in the contract would be a better road for us and a longer lifespan. So the best proposal would be for Mark to apply the contract amount of the surface material to half the length of the road, so from the double culvert to the shorter end of the road. And then with our own forces, we could bring in the rest of the material from the double culvert to the Wingo side of the road. Subgrade will be leveled by Mark and our dozer, and doing it this way would not add any additional costs to the contract aside from the usage of our own forces and materials. There will be one extra on the contract totaling the amount of $1,130 for a geotextile that was required under the riprap at either end of the culverts, and that item was just a miss on the contract.
Okay.
So that's the only over and above contract, only over and above expense?
Towards him, yes. There will be our own forces of adding fill to half the road and a couple culverts for the private entrances.
Any other questions of council?
Yeah, if I may, I don't see the table. If anyone else has a question, when everyone else is finished with their questioning, I do have a question.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Perfect. Okay, so just so I'm clear, Tammy, we're seeing here, or Mayor Sheldon, I'm just seeing the extras that you're talking about here, the totals of what is the total extra cost of that?
The total extra cost that we would be billed from Mark would be $1,130. The extra additional after that would be our own forces, so labor and equipment on our guys.
And has this already happened, or you're asking for our approval for this, just to be clear?
This has already happened. To sit there and to pay Mark standby time didn't make sense at the time, because that would have been the alternative. So I guess the way you can look at it is this way. We're going to get half the road fully completed. The contractor has met his obligations, and he was more than willing to work with us to get us as far along as possible. It will mean our dozer was on site to do the final leveling of the fill on the west side. And it will mean that our forces will also have to apply the pit run to the surface. In the end, we will have the road that we wanted. Unfortunately, there was some problems, yeah, so.
So when you talk about the pit run, Sheldon, is that the pit run that was already calculated into the price of the job? So in other words, Mark Simpson provides that pit run, or are we additionally providing the pit run?
He provided the pit run as per contract.
Okay.
I think what she's talking about is the new pit run, though.
Oh, the new pit run? Yeah,
That'll come out of the Crown pit road or what?
it can come from wherever we wish, I guess. We'll have to explore that option,
All
so.
right,
We're working at getting prices to follow procurement to make sure that we're doing the right thing.
So sorry, again, I'm having a hard time hearing folks. I believe it was John Rutledge that just spoke, and perhaps you, Tammy, it was really muffled. So the pit run that will be needed to finish, that
Yes.
Sheldon had just referenced, is that included and Mark Simpson purchases or pays for that, or is the municipality going to be providing Pit Run at its own cost to do whatever has already been agreed to here?
The municipality will be purchasing and applying the Pit Run to finish that section of road.
And has that been calculated into the $1,130? What is the all-in
That
cost of this?
The $1,130 covers the cost of the geotextile that was used underneath the riprap at either end of the culverts.
So all of this other, the dozer work, our labor and our pit run that will be required will be real additional cost to this, how did you put it, unexpected issue that's already been done or already been agreed to?
Yes,
Just so that, just so we're clear on what this has cost us.
yeah. Just remember, our costs are already factored in and within budget with our own equipment and manpower.
So you're saying that these are not additional costs? This is dozer work, labor, and pit run we already would have used on the job?
No, the Pit Run not, but the use of, our men's wages are already included. We're paying them anyways, and it's already budgeted for.
But in theory, if they're working there, they're not working somewhere else doing something else. This is something new that has to be worked into, and it'll have to be tweaked,
Yes, but
and perhaps something else.
in
Yes,
the
they can't
conversation,
do two things at once.
in the conversation with Charlie, it was determined that staff would have time to do
Depending on the weather. Not been snowing Christmas.
Sorry, I missed that, John.
I said it's not gonna snow till Christmas.
It's not gonna snow till Christmas.
No, because Charlie said if they had time, I said, no, it's not gonna snow till Christmas.
Well, you may have some people really happy about that, John, and you may have some people pretty upset with you, the ones that want to say hang the Christmas lights. So I don't know about that, but for me, it's just a matter, I just want to have a real sense of what this has cost the municipality. And had Mark, so it wasn't an option basically for Mark to do this job himself or to get a subcontractor to do this. Sheldon,
Well,
and am I understanding that basically it was something that needed to be done at that time? It is completed, and therefore the township did it because it needed it to move the job forward.
We considered the option, but by looking at the costs of him applying the Pit Run, and, buying the gravel, using his trucks and his equipment, it would have costed more than us doing it ourselves, because like I said, we already incurred the costs with, we're already paying employees and we budget for fuel, etc. Yes, they are additional costs, of course, to the road, but it would have costed more to simply hire somebody like Mark to do the job. And then you would have had to
And
go
this was not a foreseen task that was included or foreseen when the job was considered.
No.
And any other person who may have won the tender would have been faced with doing the same work.
As far as I'm aware of, yes.
Yes.
I can't answer for other contractors.
No. Okay.
Either way, the reality is it's been done, it's been committed to, and this is basically just to inform council that Sheldon entered into this agreement with Mark Simpson, and whatever discussions happen, it's already a done deal. We're just being informed of it, and the public's just being informed of it. Am I correct? There's no decision to be made here.
This is information for council, basically. The decision was based on the time, so Mark was more than fair to deal with. Jason helped us in the process, in the negotiation process. And in the end, we received, I think, a fair negotiation, so. And I want to thank Mark publicly for that, so, and MWS.
I guess for myself, I'm happy that things are resolved and you want to do get good business with whoever you're doing business with. But in all fairness to anyone else who applied for the tender, I also want to be fair to them that this has been added and work that now the township is doing to complete the job, just so that it's fair to everyone.
Okay, we can move on.
Moving on, item number 2. Resurfacing of Little Ireland Road has been completed. The extras that we agreed upon came in at $7,280.04. The approved amount was $3,000. I'm gonna hand it off to Charlie here. He was the one on site and speaking with them, so if he can explain what happened.
They calculate by what they spray the oil down. And because of the width of the hill was wider than our actual 20 feet. And the corner of the land road to make it wider so it didn't break up. With all the heavy truck traffic, it actually packed down well.
Questions of Charlie? Over item 2?
Well, yeah, I have a question of that, like, when they came in with that price of 2,500 or 3,000, was that not a decision as to what we were gonna do at that time, like why, like it's double the amount, you know? I just give them the go ahead on the hill where it was so wide. So. Well, yeah, but why was that considered like the first round, so that we could have spoke to the correct amount? You know, because we'd approved like one amount and they're contained double. And we did go past the 1.3 bonds.
How far did they go?
So 1.7.
Wow. How could they do that?
That was the direction.
I'm sorry, I don't know about anyone else listening, but I can't hear what's being said. It's all like it's very quiet.
Okay, we'll just try to talk louder then.
So why did it wind up being wider because this finishes the road, am I correct?
Yes.
Yes,
So whatever other repairs were done to the road to bring it to this stage, has it gone wider than even that, just so that it's clear what happened there?
It's tire and chipped on the wider spot, yes.
Again, I couldn't hear that.
Yes, it is tire and chip wider than it was supposed to be.
So is that something that the company chose to do, Charlie, or council, or was that something that, did the company choose to do that, who was doing the work? Or is that something that was approached and recognized that, listen, this is wider than we anticipated, it's gonna cost more, or did they just simply bill for more? How did it happen?
They billed by the amount of liters of oil they put on the road.
So until the bill was received, nobody knew this? Or I just want to understand how it came to be.
Other than on the hill was the only part that I had wanted to order.
And so how much of the extra would have been covered by the hill, and how much then is not the hill?
It's wider right from the bottom to the top.
And it was only supposed to be at the top, am I understanding correctly?
3/4 of the way up, yes, where the corner is.
So when a company goes beyond what they were supposed to do, I guess that's my question to council. Is that something that we as a council want to be responsible for? If they have chosen arbitrarily or unilaterally to do that without consulting with our department head, is that something that we should make it our practice to simply pay? Or has this already been paid?
What was that?
He just asked if this already has been paid.
No,
Not in full.
not in full. We held the 10% back, which is more than this, that they billed as extra.
I guess the problem lies within, did we get it in writing? If
Was
not,
this not tendered?
Yes, and then it was, they recommended to Charlie that they do some widening with it up near the top of the hill. And you went there with them? You did a site visit?
Yes.
They said it would be $2,500 to $3,000. So we brought it back to council and had a resolution passed to spend the extra 3,000. And now we get the bill and it's over 7,000.
But it was never received in writing from the company that to do that additional work was going to be $3,000. Is that in essence what you're saying?
Yes.
I don't like business practices like that.
And why would they have went the extra 0.4 kilometers?
How much of a distance was it that they went extra?
0.4 kilometers?
Yes, it's past the one.
0.4 or 1.4? Sorry,
0.4.
0.4, okay.
So did that need to be done, or was it just,
That's, I guess, where he sprayed oil and kept going.
so that's not our mistake?
No, that isn't.
I'm not familiar how they regulate that. I mean, it's not something that I'm familiar with, but from what I'm hearing, that there must be some standard unit of what we signed up for. And again, you want to have good business practices with companies for sure. And if, if it's reasonable, is it reasonable to be, an extra, I think, did John not say extra $3,000? It's actually almost, it's $4,000, $4,280 extra over and above. Do we want, if we pay this, my fear is that as a municipality, then we set the precedent that if they go over, we'll just pay it.
Okay, so you have something to say first?
What was the original tender? How many kilometers?
1.3.
1.3 kilometers was the tender. So they would have looked at it and known the boundaries.
Mhm.
Now, they done 1.7. So obviously, somebody didn't measure properly, or
Was
somebody.
there not a site meeting to show them where to start, where to stop?
This was supposed to be done a year ago, so yeah.
But we asked them to wait, and they agreed for the,
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I mean, there should have been some boundary laid out, like you start here, and you end here,
Mhm.
yeah,
and agreed upon that it's
Supposing it's a painted line.
on
Yeah.
whatever the case might be.
yeah.
Was that ever done?
Yes.
This year.
Well, if that was done, and they made a mistake, it's their problem.
They go by, when I asked Kent about it, it's how much oil they put down, that's what.
Yeah, but that's
But
okay,
that's really
but you can put oil down from here to Timbuktu, but here is where you put the oil down,
Mhm.
not past.
Yeah.
And that should have been well decided upon prior to spraying oil
And really, it seems the extra we're paying for is the width of the hill.
The width, and then at Laland Road, you widen the corner too.
What do our policies say about this? What specific part of the policy would this fall under?
Would it pay to
For-
write a
for a
letter or
tender.
ask them to fully give us a cost on what these extras are, or do we have a letter that actually says from them beyond our $63,000 that was tendered?
Well, I think if the tender says 1.3 kilometers and they did 1.7, I mean, they're outside of their tender.
Mhm.
That's what my thought would be. That's like me, like, it's like you ordering 100 pounds of beef
Mhm.
and, well, I got 25 pounds extra, so I'll throw it in and I'll bill you for it. And you don't know,
Mhm.
you didn't need it. Like they're just
So I
asking.
guess my comment to that would be, if we're going to have this discussion, let's get that tender out. Let's look at any communications that, because it could go either way, right? As I think what's important here, or what I'm hearing as being important, is this was a year ago. Emails can have gone, I don't know how communications were done, but certainly I would want to be looking at, or I think it's relevant for council to look at, any communications that went back and forth as to the distance that was supposed to be done. I will say that I seem to recall, I'm not an expert on roads by any stretch of the imagination. That's why I asked so many questions. But I do seem to recall at some point, Little Ireland Road, we having a discussion about doing more than the original tender. And I think it's very important and to be respectful to this contractor and to be respectful to our department head is to look at what was written. And in the end, we're speculating here, and speculation is just that. I would like to see concrete terminology and in writing agreements that were made. And then based on what was in writing is what I think we have to honor. That would be how I feel we should proceed in the best interest of all parties involved. It's not about, it's what everybody signed up for. It's what was in writing. And as I think it's important that I would like BLR, and I think our municipality wants to see that we honor what we sign up for.
Just on the bill, is there any, did they itemize anything or? Why the extra cost?
Yeah, well, that's
They,
fine.
they bulked the extras in with the original contract totals.
Okay.
So you'd have to look at what the original contract was.
Invoices, add them to the contracts.
Yeah. But I
So
mean,
I'm sorry, final answer there, is the extra cost itemized or not?
no,
No.
it's all lumped together on the bill. But we
So
have,
again,
the quantities on the tender to do the 1.3 kilometers.
Yeah, even the amount of liters of oil used is on the contract.
And that's
Yeah.
on the invoice.
Yeah.
But it doesn't separate the road versus what extra we
No.
had
Right,
previous submission.
right.
No, but somebody
when they
must,
say- Go ahead.
somebody must have given this price of $2,500 to $3,000. Like, where did that come from? To widen on the hill? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they just told you that, or just about that, or is it?
There was nothing.
we passed a resolution for that amount. So what did we, at what council meeting, what's the date on the resolution? It should be pretty easy to go back to communications from that time, no? Is that a place
Yeah,
to start?
we passed a resolution for $3,000.
On what date?
Oh, I'm not exactly sure what date it was.
In the last minutes.
Yes, it was at the September 1st meeting.
The resolution isn't dated?
Pardon?
The resolution isn't dated?
It's September 1st.
Okay,
And
sorry, I couldn't hear.
Over the years that I've sat here, I've never seen anything when it comes to surface treating that there isn't a distance involved.
Yeah.
Like, and I think you can pretty much check with any other municipality. Like,
Yeah, there's no mention of any distance, there, is there?
No. And if it was 1.3 kilometers, where's the measurement?
Well, if you go out probably and measure the road, you'll see, that would be,
If our original tender was 1.3 kilometers,
yeah,
why would you,
do 1.7.
exactly, that's what I'm trying to do.
It's an extra 400 meters somewhere.
Well, let's get some concrete information and I mean, I think we're going around in circles here, no? I personally I'm of the mind, and I would like to see, or I would request on behalf of taxpayers, so they can see why this is higher, the breakdown of how much oil was used for the original 1.3 kilometers and how much was used for the extras, because if I understood Tammy's comment correctly, it's not broken down. It was just an extra amount, that it's $7,000, $7,280.04 more. And it's
But
assumed-
I think because there was nothing in writing for the extras or anything, the only ground we have to stand on is if the contract, the tender is 1.3 kilometers and they went 1.7, why?
Yeah. So is this something you want to take back and gather some information and bring back to next week's meeting? I think I heard you saying that.
Yeah.
So Andrea, we're gonna take this back. Staff are gonna do a little research and bring it back to next week's meeting.
So what does that mean, Sheldon, in terms of payment of this amount then? Does that mean that we suspend the payment until we get more information? Or what's happening to the payment of this?
We have paid 90%.
Yes.
And the amount owing is more than this amount. So.
More than the
we pay-
7,280.04.
Correct, and we won't pay that amount until we have it worked out.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure that we're clear on what council's direction is there. So is council's direction then, are we in agreement that this amount will not get paid until it's understood and that we agree to it?
I'm pretty sure that's what we agree with, and that's what staff is suggesting, yes.
I just, again, just so it's clear, because I think we had that issue once before.
Yeah, let's be real sure
Yeah,
instead of pretty sure. If that's what we're doing, that's what we're doing.
And it's for everyone involved, for the company, our department head, council. We want to do the right thing.
Okay, so if council's in agreement, they can give me a yes, we'll gather more information, bring it back to next week's meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, next item.
Yeah.
The tender for the new truck purchase was released on September 30th, and the tenders are due in on November 26th. The 1997 International truck that we had discussed at a previous meeting selling, we would like to have it declared as surplus and posted on Gov Deals if council is in agreements for that, with the exception of potentially using it at the Brudenell Way site for a few days to move the grindings, because we're going to be short on trucks if we're doing additional work on Schroeder Road.
Okay, so council's thoughts, I'm fine for putting it on Gov Deals after we're done with it.
So what are we going, so we're just going to put a condition to it because of Schroeder Road that we won't sell it until then? Is that, just so I heard that correctly again?
We can set a timeline up, we'll discuss our scheduling and see when we can post it. Maybe it'll be in 3 weeks, maybe it'll be December 1st.
Yeah. But
Once we get our scheduling set up here and have an idea of what's going on and when we're doing Schroeder Road.
You're using a dump truck
But
right
this,
for garbage, are you not? So you're
Yeah.
short one dump truck, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Two at
that's-
times,
Pardon?
2 trucks sometimes.
2 sometimes.
Okay, so council's in agreement with that then?
Yeah,
Yes.
use it as long as you can.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, for as long as we need it, right? But I think the general idea is council. Do you wish to declare it surplus and put it on gov deals?
When we're done with it.
And then we're done with it. And if
I guess
so,
my concern is if we've committed to our truck being used on Schroeder Road, unless there's some urgency to get that money in, or unless, just my way of thinking, unless we're concerned that we're gonna lose a sale on gov deals, or this is a prime time to sell it, or I don't know what explanation or justification there could be. But in the end, if I just don't wanna see us in a position that someone is all gung ho to purchase that truck that needs it right away, and we need it for that, to finish that Schroeder Road.
so don't pay keeping it because I'm listening to staff here and they're saying the safety is already up on it.
We'd never use that truck on Schroeder Road. It would be used at the Brunel Way site, on site only to move the grindings as there's no safety on it for the road.
And so it's there right now?
Not yet, but we can get a trip permit to move it there.
As long as that's
Okay, so-
considered, it's good with me. As long as
Yeah.
it's planned.
Yeah, okay, so you're wondering what a minimum bid would be on that to put on gov deals
Yeah,
at the
I'm
time?
not familiar with truck prices, so I can't.
Any thoughts?
What did 94 go for? 45. 45.
Let's say more than that for that.
No. Okay, let's throw out a number, minimum 5. Anybody?
And
Comment?
what's going with it?
Right.
I guess we can let that platform go with it. I was gonna say higher than that.
Well, that's why we're here, spit out a number.
I'm
Well,
sorry, I missed that about what's included.
Plow and wing,
Sanders.
sander. Charlie?
I was gonna say in between 8 and 10, somewhere in there.
Okay, so minimum bid 9,000? That's what we'll get staff to start with, if that's okay, if not. I mean, that's a
I'd
minimum.
like to hear what John and Trevor think of that.
Well, I'm not very knowledgeable on the price of those used trucks, and Trevor would be a lot more knowledgeable than me on that one.
if everything is operational, plow and wing and sander works, I see no issue with 85 or 9.
So what do you want?
Starting bid of 9,000?
What's that?
Starting bid of 9,000?
Charlie, you're happy with that?
Sure. Or how do they normally start, lower and then keep going up, or usually start at 5 and work their way up?
Well,
Not
you
if
have
the
to
minimum
put
is
your
9.
minimum in.
Hey?
Not if the minimum is 9, you're starting.
No, I realize that,
Starting line,
I realize that, but sometimes like at an auction, you know, you'll
Yeah,
start
they'll
throwing
start
things up
much
past what
lower.
you really want. But,
Yeah. I guess it's kind of one of those things, I guess, the higher you start.
Depends who wants it, yeah.
Well, no, exactly, it'll depend on the demand, right? So,
Well, that truck is not gonna go to any other municipality
No,
or
no.
any place like that, it's
No,
gonna
no.
go to somebody that's got a use for a farm
Yeah.
situation or
parts.
bush
whatever.
situation or parts.
Did we get 8 for the 94 C?
About 85 or something? I don't exactly remember.
So minimum bid 9 or 9.5.
We just got the one from McGowan for it.
Yes.
I know, it's way north.
Yeah, I
How long does
know.
that stay up there for?
However long you want.
However long you want.
I'd throw it in at 85, that's my opinion.
Okay,
That's
Okay.
only my opinion.
I agree.
All right, sure, sounds good.
Okay, so the township of Brunel, Linddock, and Raglan, the resolution says declare the 1970 International Plow Truck and be sold on gov deals for a minimum bid of 8,500. I need to move around that. Counselor Licky. Seconder,
Yeah, I'll second it.
Counselor Rutledge. I think we've already had our discussion. All in favor? Andrea?
Yes, yes, sorry.
Okay, next one, Liz.
All right, bids were submitted to the county for the 2007 plow truck and also for 2 radios for the fire department and 5 handheld radios for the roads department on September 30th, and we were successful on both bids.
Questions?
Comments?
Okay.
Salt's been delivered to Quadville and Palmer, and the winter sand is completed.
Well done. That's always a big job.
Is that truck in the air? We don't.
Not yet. What do you think?
Still in there.
We just took the check up today. Ownership, just getting it changed over right now.
What did we bid on that?
Less than you're getting for your 97.
I know that for a fact. What's the number? 86.
So that again,
That's it for the roads.
that's it for
Do
the
you have
road.
anything to add, Charlie?
Okay. Any questions of budget variance on roads? Seeing none. Maintenance supplies and vehicle equipment repairs, maintenance, any questions on that?
The only question I had on maintenance supplies, did somebody make a mistake on the acetylene and oxygen bill, $13.74? I mean, it's a good mistake. I just,
I think it was just for one.
was that for, just for
That's
renting
just
for one thing? Yeah, okay.
Okay, so no more questions for roads. We can now go to the clerk's report.
Okay, the council room desks have arrived and will be installed tomorrow. And we have 3 chairs here to be looked at by council, so they will be leaving tomorrow. So if you want to look at them tonight. The community safety and well-being report has now been accepted by all the municipalities and it's been submitted to the Solicitor General. So at this point, we're just waiting to receive direction and then move on with whatever they're going to do. We expect the RFP for development of a new website to go out in the near future, and it's going to be funded by COVID funding. And the digitalization of the records to be set up to be done over the winter months, and the expense will be covered with the modernization funding. I talked with E4M today, and Peggy would like to have a meeting, a special meeting next Wednesday at 4 p.m. to 6. It'll be a closed session with moving on, like with staffing and to get me replaced. Because I'm done. So, and if all council could be here in the council chambers, because it's a lot easier when you're having brainstorming if everybody is here. The meeting will be from 4 to 6, and we will have dinner brought in. So if you're going to be here for dinner, let me know. And we've had a bagged lunch brought in before, and it's really quite good. Kim does it. So if that's okay with council. Okay. And
So
agenda, pardon?
sorry, may I just ask then, so the meeting starts at what time?
4 o'clock.
No, that's no good.
And you're eating at the end of it, or just because I
Are
do
you
have another
eating in
We're gonna be in the
commitment.
bush.
I know, but what do we do?
Well, we're not making it a little later?
It's gonna rain that day.
Not unless you're gonna be here so late at night.
Well, I don't care about being a little later, but I mean, hunting only comes once a year.
We got 13 other days.
Am I the only hunter here?
No,
First day.
Well, I'm not concerned about hunting season, but for myself, just, I do have a commitment on that day. That particular day doesn't work great for me. Is there no other day that she's available?
Typically, the following, I have to agree with John, the following week would,
But that's not the way the schedule works out, so. It's either we do it this, I don't care, it's up to you guys, but I'm telling you that within 2 weeks, I wanna be gone. Yeah. I'm having a very difficult time right now, struggling to keep going, so. You need to get your ducks in a line and get set up to be able to deal with moving on.
yeah,
She's going to be bringing a procedural bylaw with, she's bringing with the human resources policies on, I don't know what all, like, it's a really big,
who's doing this? Again,
Peggy from E4M. She's helping with giving back some of, to the municipality to help them move forward now. They have a thought on how to recruit someone to fill the position. It's a really different idea. They've done it in other municipalities. And I think it would probably work because right now, sitting in this area, you can advertise, there's no clerks out there.
No,
Mackie McLaren's brought back into circulation again and Addison Bromwell,
yeah,
so
yeah.
there's just nobody out there.
So this would be from 4 to 6 and then our regular meeting at 7.
7, yeah,
Oh,
and we
okay.
would have dinner brought in for you, like it'll be a bite dinner.
So I personally.
And I
would just-
understand it's hunting season, but
I think at this point in time, and the shape the municipality's in, I'm willing to sacrifice an evening and an afternoon of hunting to,
Well, that's what I was just gonna say. I'd rather come and do it the same day
Okay.
as our meeting instead of taking up 2 days.
yeah.
yeah, you don't wanna do 2 days, bugger up 2 days.
So. I
Sorry,
know I
when are the
could-
2 meetings then you're talking about? Because I'm not hearing all of you. I'm hearing parts of you.
So the special meeting is 4 to 6 on November the 1st, and our regular meeting's at 7.
On the 3rd of
Oh,
November.
sorry, 3rd.
Yeah, the Wednesday, the day of the regular meeting next week.
So just to be clear, because I guess I'm surprised at that too, that the regular meeting is going to go ahead on the 3rd, because like John said, traditionally, we always did go to the next week, did we not?
Not all the time,
No,
no.
I know my whole first term, 4 years, it was always on the first
Yeah.
Tuesday of hunting season.
Yeah, typically we never moved it. so.
Yeah, but it's dark at 7.
for a number of years, back in the years, we went to the second week, but that's just whatever. And in my case, with the judgments made by Peggy Loveless against me, I don't see that there'd be much point in me sitting in on a meeting such as that.
Yes, but wouldn't it benefit you from having input for the procedural bylaw and the input on how we move forward with the clerk treasurer, or however we decide to fill that position?
There's gotta be an organizational structure set
Again,
up.
if I could make a point of order, I don't know if anyone should be convincing anyone to go. I don't know if that's procedurally proper. Again, each person conduct themselves as they like, but
I'm only
I would just-
indicating to Trevor what is being discussed, so the choice ultimately is his. I'm not forcing anybody, I'm simply repeating what's going to be discussed at that meeting.
Yeah, I guess I'm sorry.
You get to hunt for 2 weeks.
I won't be happy.
Okay, so let me know, by Friday if you're going to be here.
Yeah.
so we
Well,
know.
I'll let you know right now, I will be here.
Okay.
I'll be here. I'll be here too.
I'll be here too.
Andrea said she had a conflict that day.
What's that?
Andrea mentioned.
And
she-
how much of this meeting then is prior to the regular, so it's running, it's from 4 to 6 and then we're eating from 6 to 7, or what's the like, are we gonna get an agenda for this meeting?
Yes,
when are we gonna get it?
You'll get it on Sunday afternoon, Monday afternoon. So you can let me know if you're gonna be here, Andrea?
Yes, I'll let you know. I'll send it to that email address you provided, the temp one.
Okay. And you can let me know, Trevor?
Yep.
Okay. The county is holding a, meeting it's in November. I think it's after hunting season, maybe. It's a Zoom meeting, for council and municipal staff on the cannabis study that's been done. I will email you guys the, email from them. And if you're going to, participate, you notify the county and they'll send you the Zoom link. But it's not a public meeting, it's only for council and any municipal staff that will probably have Mike sit in on it. So,
Sorry, it's for council and staff?
yes.
Yes.
And what's the date of that, Valerie?
I don't have it right here with me. It's November something. I'll send it out tomorrow to you.
Thank
I
you.
want to say the 17th, but I could be wrong. So I'll email it out to you tomorrow. And that's all I have to report.
I did have a question just about vaccination policy. I remember in the spring, we kind of reviewed things. Do we, as BLR, have a vaccination policy for staff, for all of our buildings? And what is it? Because I've certainly been asked about it. And who do I direct it to? Is it published on our website somewhere?
We don't have a policy.
Did we even discuss vaccinations?
No.
Not that I
I
recall.
don't ever recall.
I know a lot of the municipalities are starting that now, but, and they're very different, some of them.
Yeah, and in all actuality, the county council only passed theirs today.
Yeah.
So, and more in other municipalities, it sounds like just this week that they.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Sheldon, I can barely hear you. It's muffled.
The county council just passed their vaccine policy today. And it sounds like a lot of other municipalities have only recently followed suit, so.
So is that something we have to look at some point?
You probably will, but the way the legislation's changing, what do you know? I mean, now they're saying that by the end of March, you won't even need masks, they're not gonna be checking. I mean,
Is that for the sake of folks that have been fully vaccinated though, or not? Again, I just find there's a lot of people come to government, I think, looking for answers. And I was involved in a Zoom meeting yesterday with regards to vaccination and how to proceed with a policy. And again, I'm with everyone. There's a lot of information out there, but it'd be nice if for us as a municipality and as counselors and certainly as staff, that we all have the same information, or at least that I know who to direct someone to that has a question. It's
well, as of now, if there's a function at one of our buildings, it's controlled by whatever the function is and who's organizing it. So say for instance, if you wanted to do something and you have to check vaccination certificates, well, if you don't want to do that, then you don't hold a function. So
Yeah,
if anybody wants to go to a function in one of our buildings, they check with whoever's organizing and they should have the rules.
and that's the thing, you check with your local health unit and you follow the rules.
Yeah, the health
That's-
unit is really the one that's in
They're the one
control.
that's in control of that, right? So as far as.
So for anyone to enter into, for instance, the township office,
Yes,
we, at the township office, it's not required that you be vaccinated?
no. Just that you wear a mask and you social distance.
So basically, anything that's essential, you don't have to be.
No,
Anything that's non-essential, you have to.
yeah,
It's kind of based on the classification of your building and the event that's going on.
If it's essential.
I've gone
or
through
not.
all this week, and I will
Yeah.
tell you, the rules change.
I know, I've
Like
been
that.
checking for the
That's-
fishing game.
There's been 54 changes this past year, just to the one regulation, and it's nuts to try and follow it. And I will speak to that in my report coming up here, so.
I'm done.
Okay,
I got something for Valerie, weren't we supposed to have something about those electronic signs?
Yeah, we were. weren't we? You'll have to come in and get me to dig it out when you're here.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was the response?
I never thought of it again.
The other question I had was about the operational audit. Where are we with that?
We've never decided to go ahead with it.
oh,
I thought there was some kind of an application or something that had to be filled out,
No,
RPF or something.
no,
that's only if council wished to proceed
Yeah.
that way, which we didn't because it was kind of determined we figured we didn't have enough time.
okay.
Okay,
Was there ever a resolution to do that operational audit and it was declined or anything, or?
I don't recall.
Right now, you have to look at what direction you're going, look at your staffing structure and get staff in place to move forward.
I just recall in discussing that, I thought that there was a discussion, if my memory holds me correct, that the operational audit may actually assist with that and knowing where to find efficiencies, what is being done really well, using perhaps that model to do well in other areas, that was going to be instrumental, the operational audit. Again,
I don't think that there was ever a resolution passed to that effect.
No, I'm pretty sure there was only discussion about that, but there was never ever a formal resolution passed that I remember. Okay, so if there's no more questions, Jordan, Fire Chief report.
Fire away. Okay. So this is for September. So we had 13 burn permits issued in September. An issue that we are having, and it's happened multiple occasions now, is the forestry access roads off of Cargus and Addington haven't been named, but have recently been named, and I don't know who's named them. But our dispatch is now starting to use different names for parts of those roads in that network. And there are branch off roads and stuff that we've ended up having to go down, and direction by dispatch has been really difficult in trying to locate some of these calls. So I'm just looking for direction or where I should be heading with this. Is it the county or is it something we decide here on how to finish naming those roads? And Mike is in on this as well.
Yeah, I was just
I don't know
gonna
if
say,
he's
he
on.
has it on his report.
He's got on his report as well. I believe he's probably online there tonight. Probably the only 334 number. Anyway, the There is one branch off road at the end of Abington that goes to the left into Rock Lake, and it's not named. That's the only main one that should be named. And
Call it Rock Lake Road.
And that's
exactly what
well,
I
mean,
was
that's what
going
we
to
all refer
propose,
to
that, yes.
As Rock Lake
Um,
Road.
But I just don't know where to go with that. Is that a county issue? Is that our issue? Is,
Well, that won't be county, that's forced access.
When someone
road.
gets a permit to put in a road, like who maintains that road?
That's a Crown road, so it's a forced access road, so anybody that's working in that Crown area is responsible for the road.
so it'd be the ministry that would,
Deem them?
yeah, how does that? Because parts of them have been named. There's a
Usually,
2 Island Lake Road
Yep.
now and Felber Road and.
and usually those are named by, if they're on a Crown, they're usually named by the SFL.
So should we send a letter out to them to maybe get a ball rolling here?
Possibly.
I'm just scared that something's gonna happen back there and nobody's gonna know where to go.
Mhm.
Because you do get people that are tourists back there and they have no idea where they are.
Mhm.
And we've come across that a few times where we've driven the entire loop and people branch off here, people branch off there, and it's finally we find it, but it,
And you'll never ever name every road,
no.
but.
I think it's gonna be the main one, Sheldon. We name the main ones, and then anything branch off that can be a
Well, and what,
emergency access or a fire road number, get into it,
and what the SFL, they'll deem roads as either primary or secondary,
that too.
and beyond that, they will not name.
But that's again, if we could put in a,
And they only do that for financial purposes.
Yes.
if we could put in a fire access route number or something
Mhm.
off of those, if they're gonna be significant, let's say there's a hunting camp or something,
Sure,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
I know there are parts that are like that,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
That's just an issue I wanted to bring to your attention that we've been having, and, it kind of caught us off guard. At our last call, we got a call for 2 Island Lake Road, and we- that's not even in our township.
Have one of those.
We didn't know we had one of those.
Mhm.
And then later on the next day, I got looking on Google, and it's like,
Yeah.
in fact, we do, so. Caught us off guard,
Mhm.
and I don't want that to happen again.
And the side roads and bush roads, what would be the issue if you give them fire route numbers?
Yeah, like anything. I would name the main ones, Trevor, I think.
Oh, yeah, I'm all for
And
that,
then the branch offs of those, absolutely give them a fire rate. But is it our responsibility to sign on that? Or is this something the SFL?
Well, the SFL will do that.
No,
Guaranteed.
I think for our own public safety, it should be signed at some point or somewhere.
right.
I'm just bringing issues, if you guys want to decide on or what direction we go on it, I don't know. But something needs to be done before something bad happens.
And speaking that, and you know, speaking like that, I think saying that then, because it's Crown land and ultimately the province of Ontario is the owner, then you should probably contact the Ministry of Natural Resources.
So is that something that he should be doing as fire chief, or is that something that we as a council should be doing?
Well, that's.
Well, somebody has to take the initiative.
Yeah, and I don't think.
Talk
it's
to
a-
Mike Beach and Dan and I.
yeah.
I think
I
it's
just
fire
want to make
chief.
sure that
Yeah.
we decide who is to do it tonight so it gets done.
How about I try it, and if I don't have any give, then council can try and take a stab at it. Maybe you'll have more bite than me, I don't know.
Well, if you're doing it for public safety,
There's no reason why they shouldn't
exactly.
bend over and say yes. It's not like those roads are gonna be closed down and go away, they're there
No,
and they're used. So,
So can we just earmark it though, perhaps that we'll touch on this issue again? Because it does, you're absolutely right, it does lead to public safety. And ultimately, who would be responsible if something, you know, did happen, that people weren't found in time or whatever? I think it's important that we somehow have a system to follow up, that say, whether it be next meeting, we get a report on this issue so that we don't forget about it. Or, you know, sometimes things just get shelved and
Well, and I
I
think
think-
within, and I think within Mike's report, I mean, he does say that, you know, a report back to council. So,
I will reach out.
put a time on that though, is what I'm asking.
I don't think it's fair to put a time. I think you gotta, in that situation, you gotta take whatever time you need.
I will reach out to the MNR and I will report back when I have word with that.
Yeah.
Leave it at that. Okay, attached to my report is a letter from the Fire Underwriter Survey. They have recently conducted an update on our municipal profile. And attached to that on the backside is the main part that we're gonna look at. And the only differences from the last report are under the dwelling protection grade. And that would be under the Palmer Rapids Fire Station, and the Quadville Fire Station went from a 4B to a 5. And main reasoning to that is they've added in fire hydrants to this now. So we don't have a municipal water source like a water tower or a water system. And the fact that we are lacking manpower. So they would like to see anywhere from 14 to 20 people in each fire station. So that's pretty damn tough. So that's the reason why it dropped. It dropped a half a grade, which is really peanuts. And I cannot foresee this affecting anyone's insurance that greatly, because you are still classified as being protected by the fire hall and within the 8-kilometer range of the fire hall. They look at a number of things. They look at our equipment, they look at our training, the water situation, and manpower. So anyway, that's that for your information. About it.
Will this be available online for folks to see, Jordan, or where would the public be able to
This has
obtain
been
them?
asked to be private and confidential, so it's for council's viewing only.
Oh, I see, but it's been in the council package.
It's in your package, yeah.
Okay. It wasn't sent out with packages for the public?
As far as I know, it shouldn't have been. Okay, moving on, under fire prevention. So Dwayne completed a inspection at the Palmer Rapids apartment building. He had to do a follow-up inspection as he did find a couple of those issues. And he did attend a fire drill at PRPS. And he will be going back to do an inspection and some work with them as well. We had 7 calls to report. It was August 29th, we had a tree and a hydrant line. September 4th, we had an MVC. September 5th, we had a stranded boat. September 8th, we had an MVC. September 19th, we had an MVC. The 22nd, we had another tree and a hydrant line. And the 27th, we had a fire and carbon monoxide alarm going off. I will state that all 3 of those MVCs were related to motorcycles. Crazy. Training activities were regular, so we had chimney fires in Fall Arrest the first part of the month. The last part, we did our own haul, kind of choice to catch up on some stuff and some maintenance on the vehicles. Apparatus, we had pump testing completed. All pumps have passed. We need some minor repairs. I believe there was a gauge not working on one and a valve on another. 9653, which is out of Brudenell, and 9655, the Quadville will be going for a safety this month. Actually, 9653 is out right now. And we received word that the tandem tanker that we had scoped for and was to be delivered in December will be pushed back into the first quarter of 2022. Just the replacement for that truck. They are unable to get a cab and chassis for it, just with the shortages due to COVID. Communications, I sent some pagers off for repair to a new company, Bearcom, they're in Ottawa. Way quicker turnaround time, fairly decent rates and reasonable to deal with. Our equipment and buildings, we had our ladder testing completed, everything passed. SCBA's were, the maintenance was done on those and the bench testing, everything was good there. We completed fit testing the past month, and we've ordered a new set of forestry and extrication coveralls for everyone. They should be here in 4 to 6 weeks. It's the budgeted item. And that is it on my report.
Questions of Jordan on this report?
No, that's my part.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Question of budget variance for the fire department. Hearing none, thank you, Jordan.
No problem.
Okay, so.
Sorry, Sheldon. I just had a question about the variance.
Okay, and ask
The
that.
variance is showing a negative 5,019.87, and we're to go through, like, we have November and December to go through, correct? And at $3,000 a month, is it reasonable to assume that come the end of December, we're going to be looking at a shortfall of $11,000 or $12,000? Or an over our budgeted amount? Did I
So-
read that right?
Well,
I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. My wages are split between fire and recreation. And obviously with less things happening with recreation right now, there are more wages being accumulated through fire, so. Yes, you may see a negative there, but I think you should look at the bottom line and see there's over 63% of the budget left and we're at the end of the year, so things are looking good.
That was gonna be my one comment, just because one line is under, it's your number at the very bottom that matters at the end of the year.
I'm sorry, like from an accounting principle, really?
What's that?
So what you're saying is the fact that the wages may be over by $11,000 is irrelevant or not important because the other expenses are lower? Is that the statement you made? Is that how I should understand that?
Yes, and I made that statement before. You can't look at one line on the budget. You gotta look at your total at the end of the year.
Some
So
are up,
in the end,
down.
Some are always up and some are always down.
is there a principle though that, so if we've budgeted for it, if the overall budget, is that the principle then that the overall budget, as long as you don't go over the overall budget, there's not a problem? Just
Money
so I'm
gets
clear.
moved And money gets moved around during the year.
If there is a big discrepancy in a budget line at the end of the year, it'll be looked at to see why. So that you can do better planning the next year.
Okay, I just know that over the year, the last couple of years, I know John has noted it, different lines for the roads department. And this one just stood out because it's a negative and that's why I wanted to ask about it, that what we foresee in that and how, if a taxpayer, again, is this, I mean, this was in the package, we're talking about the variance report, that if the public wanted an answer on that they would know why. So is this line for wages strictly wages used for the fire department, or is some of this wage expense actually for the facility or for rec? I just so I'm clear on what that means.
The line says chief wages.
Okay,
Just for
it's not the
yes.
other firemen, it's just that one particular wage.
Yes. The other firemen are on top, first line wages.
But that would also include your student that you had over the summer, so anytime he helped you with fire, that.
I'm sorry, Tammy, I couldn't hear you.
It was Virginia. She said
Oh, I'm
that,
sorry. I apologize. I could hardly hear the voice.
that whenever the summer student would have worked for the fire during the summer, that would have been put in there also.
Into that line for fire chief wages?
Yes, because there's no other line for wages for someone so it got tucked in there.
So the student, are you saying the student that was designated for the rec center and for the, is that, just so I understand that, is that correct?
He may
Did
have
we have a
spent
fire department student?
No, but he may have done work in relation to the fire department for a few days. So it would get posted towards the fire department, not recreation.
Okay, so is, just to be fair, and that's important, I think, for, just so that someone doesn't look at that number and assume, as Sheldon had just suggested, that it was just fire chief wages. So what you're suggesting there is that it's not. That, I guess that's the clarification I was looking for. So it's
Okay.
not just fire chief wages.
No.
Okay. Okay, so no more questions for Jordan. We'll move down to the building inspector. Report is attached. I don't think we can get Mike on the line, or is he? I don't know if he wants to read his own report or.
For a while, I've been trying to get him to unmute, but he hasn't. Mike, if you're listening in, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Mike, are you there? That's okay, I can read his report if we can.
Yeah, you're gonna have, I think.
Okay. Okay, so building report. So to members of council, this year has been a year to remember. Currently, there are 48 permits for building and an estimated assessment of value of about $5.7 million. That'll substantially add to our assessment in the coming years.
Yeah, I don't know if that would be assessment dollars, that's construction value, so
Yeah.
they would,
Yeah, assessment.
but it's still a large
It's-
amount.
Yes, it is for a municipality, I believe. Permit for 11 new dwellings, 12 new garages, 2 cottage renovations, add basements, 3 on camps, and 4 large home additions. The rest are normal decks and small additions. So there still seems to be a breakdown in the application for permits, as during this summer in my travels, I have discovered over a dozen new construction projects that have been completed without the benefit of a building permit. Most are just new decks and or accessory structures. However, and I find this quite surprising, I discovered a new house complete with a detached garage. I also discovered a new cottage build. This one does not comply with our zoning bylaw, and that is a second dwelling unit on one lot. I recorded the addresses of the above and will be sending out letters shortly looking for compliance. The second point, the building department and municipality is supposed to run revenue neutral, which is say that permit fees should cover the overhead of the building department. I believe we need to look at our schedule of fees by law and adjust fees accordingly, be more concurrent with surrounding municipalities. We also look at adding a few items to the list, such as septic permit searches, zoning searches, site visits prior to permit, construction starting without a permit. I presented in the past the previous council a spreadsheet with comparisons. So is council, I guess, in favor of Mike bringing back a spreadsheet of comparisons of a schedule of fees for review? Thoughts?
You could bring that up, probably so we can review it.
Yeah.
You know, we'll argue that.
Yeah.
Yeah, our whole schedule of fees needs to be redone. Tammy has done a lot of work on the other things, but
Yeah,
I'm like redo everything to bring it up.
yeah,
But that's another
yeah.
that you need to look at getting done.
So council's in favor of that? So,
Mike?
Mike, yeah, direction to Mike to bring back a spreadsheet with comparisons.
I'd like that, please.
Yeah. So I won't bother reading the next paragraph as we discussed that with Jordan, I believe. So, and in closing, he says, I'd like to say that although it's been a challenging year for everyone, we pulled through and look forward to moving forward to 2022. Respectfully submitted, Mike Adams. Yes.
There's one in that one paragraph there,
Sorry.
referring to the new Schroeder Road.
Oh, yes.
And, I have called the county, and it was put to the county that Sully Road be the new road name for that. It was not reserved
Okay.
at the time, but it is now for the township.
Oh, for us?
Yeah.
Okay,
What
so.
was the name then?
Sully Road?
Sully?
Okay, and that's kind of what the,
That's what the communications between
S U L
Michelle.
L Y?
Yes.
yeah.
Sorry, I missed the spelling of that. What was it?
SULLY.
And that's gonna be the new name?
That's what the Sullivan girls
Yeah,
want.
that's what.
Yes, that's what,
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for pointing that out, Ken.
I missed I had a question about Valerie had made commentary and I only caught part of it. Currently, there are 48 building permits. The very first line, basically, after the year to remember. Where did this number come from again? Where did that number come from of $5,774,500 in value?
That's the value of the building permit. So when Mike issues a building permit, there's a value attached to it of what the cost is of that building. So this is the cost, the total of value of all the permits he's issued this year.
Yeah. I feel
Okay,
it's
thanks for the
substantial.
Pardon?
She just thanked you. Okay, waste management report attached. Thanks, Stan.
all right. So the grinding at the Brittenell waste site is complete. They ran into a few breakdowns, which made the job take longer than expected. They did leave some materials that could not be ground, some like rugs, concrete, rocks, dirt, etc. We cleaned it up the week after they left. And we just have to be very diligent in the materials that we're accepting into the waste site, and any loads that contain unacceptable waste will be refused. The bill came in as tendered, everything's good that way. The expansion update, we do not have a verdict yet, but JP2G has given us permission to start prepping the area of the expansion to get it ready. So when we get the expansion, we can start using it. That is another thing on Charlie's plate for this fall. The Kenworth was taken to the garage for frame repairs. On route to the garage, the turbo blew apart, damaged the housing, burnt off some air lines. In addition to this, after further inspection, the frame extension also needs more attention, bushings in the back. The verbal quote for the turbo repair was $5,200 for parts, plus labor on top of that. Are they fixing that right now?
The turbo, yes.
We did get a written estimate for the rest of the repairs for the safety. With taxes, it came in at $40,316.30 to fix the Kenworth. That is a very, very, very rough quote he put, is what he wrote on it. There will be some extras,
How much was that, Tamara?
$40,316.30.
Plus the
Plus
52, plus labor.
Plus the turbo, plus the labor, plus whatever else he might uncover once he takes the box off, gets his eyes on the brakes. Cross members, there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts about this guy.
So we're probably looking at a minimum of 50,000.
There's that problem where the frame was extended there, so. yes.
Right, the beam line, drop her out.
What?
Drag the beam line and drop her off. What, Edward? Yeah. Really, that's what you do. If you're gonna scrap it, you take the box off and you'll make money on that transmission, cab and chassis. Hands down. Because them engines with free emissions and the whole 9 yards are worth bucks.
How much would that all be worth, Trevor? Just rough ballpark.
Part it out, that engine is worth 10. Transmission's an 18 double. Probably get somewhere between 3 and 4 for the transmission. 52,000 pound rears. Whatever.
Do they want to see a copy of the quote and what's listed on it for repairs?
Does any council want to see that?
I would, yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed, that's all mumble. I can't hear it. I'm sorry.
We're just looking, some councilors are looking at the estimate that was provided.
So is there another estimate that we could obtain, or where are we at with that? That's a considerable sum of money. Not saying that anybody can do it cheaper, but are we required because of the amount to get some other pricing?
Unfortunately, I'm under the understanding that there is nowhere else that'll touch our framework on it.
Did the estimate, did that include the safety, or is that just the repairs?
Charlie called and talked to them today. What was the verdict on that?
Other than if the cross members and if they find any of that, when you take the box out. Because there's issues where the frame was lengthened, that's why the box hasn't come off, it's spread.
Oh, okay.
And then on the passenger side, by the front of the cab, there's a big issue with the frame there.
Where the frame was
Let,
yeah, I remember thinking,
that's why he said the box has to come off, we'd be not better look at that.
yeah, that's single.
Oh, I thought it was double all the back for that.
No, I don't think so.
Did that,
I think that truck was only double over the bogie suspension. Where the fifth wheel would be, for whatever turns. And if it's single at the back, how do you spread a single frame? Oh, unless I'm wrong, and it is double, but I don't think it is.
Bottom line is if we scrap it, what are our options there, like, to get another one? I mean, this is clearly a truck we need, from what I'm hearing.
All right, so I did put together a couple options for you, knowing that was gonna be the question. So we had gotten a quote from Mterra in the past to truck our waste from our transfer sites to the waste site. And they would also then pick up our recycling and take it to their depot in Renfrew. I talked to them again just to see if there was any changes on that quote or if we could get it lowered. It stayed then relatively the same at $129,908.48 for a year. When you look at what we're paying with the Kenworth right now, not looking at the expenses we have right here, but based on a 7-year average for fuel, safety, emissions testing, licensing, and general repairs on the Kenworth, on average, we're paying about $13,500 a year for that truck.
Does that include the safety certificates and all that, insurance?
Yes. Insurance, is insurance in it? No, insurance would be on top of that. I'm sorry, I missed that one. Recycling tipping fees, we pay approximately $10,900 a year. Trucking for the recycling is $27,877 per year. These are approximate numbers based on the last billings for the past year. If you take into account money set aside for a new truck, you're looking at approximately $80,000 a year costing us to run with our own vehicle. The new truck would run you around $250,000 to $300,000.
But ideally, a new truck, what would we expect to get a life out of that? How many years, if we bought a new one, would we expect to get out of that? And how soon could we get one? Like how much of a reality is that?
You're looking at late next year before you can get a truck to bind it. As for the lifespan, I guess it depends how well it's looked after. Is it parked inside, outside?
But ideally, we typically have a plan, right?
or a plan for what?
A plan for how long, if we buy a vehicle, how long we plan to keep it. Like there is a plan for every like asset management, no?
Yeah, there is, but like everything, we're long past everything. So. At least 70%.
Yeah.
I guess I wouldn't be in favor of a new truck simply because within a couple of years, the new, I just forget the name right now.
Stewardship.
Yeah, the stewardship and how that's gonna evolve, we don't know.
For recycling, yeah.
For recycling.
Yeah.
We may not be involved in it, too,
That's right.
and I would almost hope we're not, but,
That's at the end of 2025 is our transfer date.
yeah. I don't remember, did we ever ask the provider that's trucking our recyclables now? If they're able to do like the garbage backhaul, like Like the former Bowman's did?
I don't know if that question's ever been asked or not. But I know we are having some technical difficulties with them coming and getting our recycling picked up.
Okay, okay,
There's many times where they'll go to Renfrew and they'll get there before they close,
yeah.
and then we have to pay
Uh,
for an hour and a half the next day.
So they're charging us, we're paying twice to go to Renfrew to get rid of one load.
mhm.
In fact, they called us and asked us if we would object to them taking it to Carlton Place to Thomason's, and I said, no, we don't have an account with them. We're not getting into that.
No.
I noticed on this repair, well, it says midsection of frame will need to be repaired. So that's over Bobby's, so that's where it's double.
Suggestions?
Well, the truck is so terrible, this is basically a quote to build a truck.
And you said there might be compactor repairs on top of this yet?
Well,
Potentially? I'm just wondering.
There's always seems to be issues with that.
Yeah.
How are the tires and all that on this truck if we sink this amount of, if we invest this kind of money into the repair over and above what's listed in this repair, like how are we for tires and like regular maintenance stuff?
They're all good there now. I just put 4 in so it would pass.
What would be the
So
chance
it's
of
4 new tires?
use one?
We can look, I haven't done that.
Sure.
What was that, Charlie?
I just asked what would the chance of me finding a used one?
Well, that's a pretty good truck though. Like, if they do that, let's say for 45,000, you're gonna have basically a new truck when you're done, you know? Like, it should last a long time.
Is this the same truck? What is the other truck that, is this the same truck that got turbos in the past or that's a different truck?
We've had issues with the frame on this one for a while, yes.
That's about the turbo.
Oh, the turbo?
This is the same truck that you had problems with the turbo before.
No,
No,
no.
no.
And the turbo that we did replace, the truck that we did replace the turbo on, it's working fine?
Yeah, it might be working fine today and 2 of them could go tomorrow, that's just part and parcel.
No, for
thereof.
sure. I'm thinking specifically of the turbo issue, that, because that one in particular, I think, if I recall correctly, the turbo was an issue for a while, like that was kind of a big one to deal with.
EGR valve was the issue on that truck for a number of
Okay.
years.
So did those repairs include the walking beam bushings?
Yes.
Or did?
If it had walking beam bushings.
They said it did.
Pardon?
They said it did.
Well, not actually walking beam bushings are for the air ride suspension.
Okay.
Because there's no walking beam in it.
Okay, so I guess basically council's options are we either part with that one or decide to fix it and spend the money on it. What's your recommendation, Charlie? Have you thought about this or?
No.
But this isn't a firm quote.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of unseens that could go on top of that. That's,
Could be more, it could be less.
Well,
How are
guaranteed.
we in our budget for a repair like that?
Be over what we budgeted, so.
yeah,
I'm sorry?
We'll be over what was budgeted for sure,
Well,
but the option right now is we don't have a truck. So you either fix the one that we got, or you look for a different one.
or you look at the Mterra route, and now you don't
Yeah.
have any truck costs, any truck maintenance or repairs,
Yeah.
no recycling issues, no pickup delays. And all we gotta do is receive garbage and cover it.
So how
I
much,
know it is expensive, but you're
Yeah.
also paying for reliability.
so how much a year was our costs that you did have figured it out? I know I missed a few numbers.
So it's $52,353 a year of actual cost for the truck, but if you wanted to factor in, if you were replacing a truck at 300,000 over 5 years, you would add 60 grand to that. 10-year span, you would add 30 to that, so.
So has anybody looked at the used truck with the comparable wheelbase that'll suit that compactor? I think it's 280 or some 260 something wheelbase, I just forget. And the price of having the compactor to a different truck, I'm not saying a new truck, but new to us.
This is standard relatively new information. You just received it today, so
Yeah.
you're presenting it to council. I know, so yeah, you never, I mean, you thought about it, you
It's new
could.
information, but we've already got a quote on the truck, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got that this
Or
morning.
the,
yeah, I know.
oh, today?
Today,
Yeah. That's,
so I've been busy getting these numbers to you through today.
yeah.
I apologize.
Oh, it's okay.
So can I ask, right now, the truck is out of commission, I understand, it's already being worked on, is that correct?
Just the turbo repair.
Right, so, but you don't have it to use. How long, if that estimate goes ahead, that council were to give the go-ahead for that repair to be done, Charlie, how long do you think that truck would be out, that you'd have to make do without it?
It would be at least 3 weeks to 4. Depending what you.
So
want.
whatever you're doing in that 3 to 4 weeks without it, like what would you say would be the maximum amount of time that you'd be able to manage without a truck? If that time were to be used to look for another one, like another used one, or whatever. What are what's our window here?
First thing off is what does it take to pass safety? Like electronic throttle control, is the throttle not working? What do we have that in there for? That's $1,700. Is that the cruise?
Must be the cruise.
Okay, that could be a fuse that's in the computer and the engine. I don't know where the price comes from, but whatever. Pedal kit. Just about $500. Which pedal?
That must be the throttle pedal, because it's like this, it's more.
Just to be clear, Trevor, are you rhyming off stuff that's not part of the safety? Or not something that's
I'm
urgent to be
wondering-
repaired?
I'm wondering what is required to pass safety. I don't know.
Yeah, so in other words, of that quote that you're looking at, because I don't have the benefit of looking at it, what you're saying is that $1,700 item, or are you suggesting that perhaps that $1,700 item and the $500 pedal kit, that we look through that quote and say, we don't approve that fix, we don't approve that fix, and we're only going to fix the things we need to pass safety? Is that what you're suggesting?
Oh, yeah, but like quantity air tanks. Now, I realize air tanks leak, but are they leaking?
They're at the point of the bat.
In the description, he explains a little bit about the air tanks being rusted out.
Pardon?
In the description at the bottom, he explains about the air tanks are rusted out.
Well, if they're rusted out, they'd be leaking like the whole air.
They must be very close. They are bad looking.
There's a lower rat pipe leaking.
Yes, it's very bad looking too. We did a little bit of work on that, but yeah, just.
You replace them with stainless.
So I guess what I would ask, rather than us doing this, of that quote, whoever answers this, Charlie or Tammy, or whether council's interested in this answer, but of that quote, where could we shed some, shave some cost off of that repair to mitigate keeping this truck and still having a truck that's safety, of course?
I think that would be a conversation with the garage, because we don't know what's required for safety or not.
Well, I know.
So if there's a meeting next week, is that something that could be done, or we need to make an answer about this estimate tonight? Like, how urgent is this?
The longer we wait, the longer we don't have a truck, and the longer we don't have trucks on the road come winter.
Sure, yes, I understand.
There's springs broken from Jim.
I don't think so, but the bushings are back on front and back.
Hey.
Temporarily use our bins.
Unless there's one crack, it's.
And that's something.
Do a contract for a couple weeks.
You could do a contract with them, Tara, for a few months even.
True.
Again, I just hear whispering there. I can't hear what's being said.
We're just looking at options. One of the thought things that were threw on the table was maybe we do a temporary contract with Intera for 2 or 3 months until we come up with an answer.
Is that something that the department, Charlie would recommend?
I don't wanna make that call.
So if it's 129,498 a year, you divide that by 12 months. Pretty, it's pretty easy math. Or are we anticipating that because it's a shorter contract, we may be charged more? What's the thought? Or we'll just get a number and
I can always call and ask them and see what the number will be, but I can't say whether it's going up, down, or staying the same.
Yeah.
initially though, they did say if it was a contract for a year, it would stay the same. Is that not what you said earlier? Did I understand that correctly?
That price of 129,908.
908, sorry, I had it written down wrong.
Yeah, no, that's an annual price and it's divided by 12 equal payments.
So what are you thinking, Charlie? Doing the repairs?
Well, if you rent that truck for 3 months or 4 months, you've got the price of the repairs for your paid for. You should get, I don't know, at least 5 or 6 years out of that truck with them repairs. I don't know, I'm only, yes, I'm not a truck driver. What do you think? Or more?
You put them kind of parts into it, by all means. My only concern is on a quote, when it says this is a very rough estimate, take it from there.
But even if it's up another 5,000, let's say, I know that's not a lot.
Where's the cap gonna be is what I'm getting
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
Is it 5 or is
And
it?
think about that, I would just put that out there, when we throw around a number like $5,000, that's only 10%, a 10% increase. Realistically, even if it went up 25%, it could easily do that, right? So you'd be looking at $12,000, $15,000 more. If you put it in terms of percentages.
I think we also, sorry to interrupt you, I think we also gotta look at the fact that this was the only place we could find a safety in.
Yeah.
How many repairs can you do to a frame before you're gonna get metal fatigue? And will they safety it again next year?
And surely if they build it up to specs for this year, it's gonna be good for more than a year. And if it's- if
And the
it's
rest of the
oil-
frame that they didn't
yeah,
fix?
but those trucks have gotta be oil twice a year.
Yeah, Jordan's not saying anything?
What?
Who's on?
Just trying to look at all
Yeah,
aspects.
so you try to look at all the angles,
right?
right? It's like any problem, you throw the problems out on the table and you try to hash them out. And this is a big one, so.
So actually, this number, he could double.
Well, that's very possible.
Well, this is an open-ended,
Yeah, estimates.
Mhm.
that's just like saying, I might sell you a case of beer at the store for $1, or it could be $200. You know, just to sell you reference, but that's.
And we can't ask them for a,
No,
No,
because
for
there's so many
me,
unknowns.
and that's why probably he can't write it down because
Yeah.
there's so many unknowns, right?
I didn't
And,
know.
and the fact that there's no other garage that's willing to look at it, that for me is concerning in that if there is a concern that, you know what, next year that spread is going to be back and we invest this kind of money in it, and again, we're in a position where it's not going to be safety because of that spread. That for me is a concern. For
So-
investing $60,000-$70,000.
That proposal from Ontario included them come picking up our garbage, taking it to Brunel and doing the background like Poland did before, correct?
That's correct. It
And
includes all
that's
the
for-
tipping fees and everything.
Yeah.
Is that for commingle?
Single stream,
Yeah.
Single, yeah.
single stream.
Yeah.
So there's
So we
no
don't even have to
sorting.
separate
There's no
it.
sorting, yeah,
We
everything
can if
will
we
go
want
in,
to, we'll
that,
do the same.
that would make it easier for the residents.
And it'll also make it easier because one time you have one bin that's full and one that's half full.
Yeah.
They'll
It gets
just,
to be,
Missed all of it,
it's just
right?
everything.
So there'd
goes.
be some convenience,
And how much a month was that?
129 divided by 12, right?
and 130 divided by 12.
Yeah.
That's your HST.
I have to throw this out there in terms of convenience, though, really, I mean, the benefits of sorting out the garbage, I don't know, I think to have ratepayers and the municipality be responsible for that and to be that aware and play a role in recycling and looking after our garbage, I think, I don't think, I'd like to see the value of that, us recognize the value of that.
So it'd be about 10,000 and change a month.
Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
And they, just to be clear, Andrea, they'd still be separating their garbage from their recycling, just
Yeah.
not separating their fibers from their plastics.
Yeah,
Right, okay.
The recycling would be single stream.
yeah.
Yes.
The clutch is done too, Jim.
You just put that in there when you have the draft, if it was bad.
And so it's right at the top, but as far as I knew, the clutch was fine yet, but.
Well, if it's at the top, it can be adjusted, but
That's right, it was just a what if it was, you just added
He's
it.
covering.
It's just, yeah.
what I'm getting at is, why would you replace the clutch for safety?
Because he has to take the transmission apart to separate the frame between it.
So he's going on the theories, while it's apart, if it's bad, this is what it could cause.
You know, I'm just questioning
He's
why.
gonna separate the frames and then clean it up and then put it back together and we should get a few more use out of it. If it's looked after from that point.
All my concerns are when I look at this is.
Realistically, sorry, Sheldon,
Is
you
this
mentioned.
hope for a clutch?
So just a minute, Andrea, Trevor's just trying to say something.
Is
Sorry.
this like, this is a new clutch going in with this quote, I take it then?
Yes,
Refacing the flywheel, which is practical procedure.
if it needs replaced, yeah.
So there could be some. Do you understand what I'm seeing here? Like, is it getting replaced or is it not getting replaced? So that's the only way you can go through this and say, this is what's getting done and what's not getting done. If we're putting the clutch in, well, that price stays there. If we're not, that price goes away,
Yeah,
for the exception of labor, but
yeah,
are we or aren't we?
yeah, I know,
Unfortunately, don't know the answer until he's in it.
yeah.
Well, again, you're leaving open.
I struggle with that concept too. Like, if we as a council were to give direction to say, no, we're not going to replace the clutch, like, if the clutch doesn't need to be replaced now, is there any problem with the clutch, Charlie?
Not as I know, no.
See, what I'm thinking is replace it. I'm not trying to argue the fact that it may or may not be. I just want to make sure that with this price, that's what's taking place. You know, not take a look at it. And then 3 months from now, if you're going to spend this kind of money, then it's a new clutch, it's a three-phase flywheel, da 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 da. No ifs, maybes, or when we look at it, this is what's going to happen.
So, okay, so straight out question. Straight out question, would you keep that truck?
The price of trucks to replace it? Knowing the electronics, yeah, I probably would. But that's only my opinion.
No, I did price a brand new truck from Fanatec, 250 to 300,000. It's a 20 cubic yard single axle. Just for comparison.
What's our cubic yards and numbers?
Yeah.
22.
22.
25.
But that's a single axle truck.
You go up and you're gonna add more money if you wanna go with a tandem.
Yeah, I was gonna say
But it's
that's.
carrying the same weight as that tandem?
Well, that's where you only have 20 cubic yards on it, you have to
Yeah.
watch, but I'm just trying to give you some numbers.
Yeah,
See, I'm talking more about the truck than the compactor, like.
Yeah.
I don't have any. I was involved in buying that compactor back in the day, but.
okay, so,
There's one other thing you can do is buy a new one and park this out, put it for sale.
The
for,
question I wanted to ask earlier was, at what point do we anticipate, Sheldon, you mentioned about when the new onus on recycling and garbage is coming down. What's the date of that again?
I'm not sure, I know each municipality put a date to it, I can't remember the date. We thought-
December 31st of 2025 for us.
That's what I thought it was, which,
December, sorry, 31st,
Yeah.
yeah,
2025. So 4 years. Not even. Yeah, 4 years.
yeah, and it could be sooner, actually, depending on how fast the province moves, so.
So it'll be a year later than that.
Election year.
Just a year?
Pardon?
Just a year?
Yeah. Well,
Okay, I don't know where to go with this,
I got no problem fixing it. I got no problem with purchasing something different. I just would like a more definitive, yes, this is what's going in for parts. You know, like I see the parts list, but what I don't like is this is a very rough quote.
yeah. I guess, for me, the other option is, do we stay in the compactor business and simply contract as a. Other councilors?
I'm not sure.
I know, it's a big decision.
Personally, I think that for the amount of money they want for compacting it, even if worst case scenario, this truck does wind up costing it that for repair. I like the notion that we pre-describe right now, or whenever whatever we vote on, we will approve this, and this. Anything above that has to come back to council before they do any more than that. But in the end, I agree with Trevor. I would like to see us focus on what's absolutely necessary, but also what makes sense if it comes up. We get it. That happens sometimes. But in the end, I think if we invest this money now, at the end of it, you still have a truck to sell in 4 years or whatever does happen down the pipe. If we simply leave the truck as is now, and it's already, we're going to get a bill. If it's 6,200 plus labor, we're already looking at what? I don't know, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000, whatever, either way. And at least if it's fixed, we're using it. And at the end, if our condition with dealing with garbage changes because of legislation and what's coming down, well, we still have a truck to sell if we don't need it or to use someplace else.
So you're saying fix it?
I
With
say fix it, but
Conditions?
with a very specific
With you
condition.
say fix it with conditions.
Yes.
But you get it half fixed and then they find something major, you're still gonna pay for that half fix and end up with nothing.
Well, all that comes to mind when I hear that, John, is I remember there was something on somewhere out in Hardwood Lake on a road that they were available there to do extra grinding. And you know what? We all did a whole bunch of phone calls and council, do you approve this? Trevor, do you approve it? John, do you approve it? Iris? I don't think it's that hard that if there's something major that needs to be dealt with, that you can't pick up the phone and make a decision that makes sense. We have those exceptions. But I think that there does need to be, I don't think we should be given just a carte blanche to just wind up with an extra $30,000 in repairs. Not saying that's what it would be, but a significantly higher bill that we're not even aware of, that we had no weighing in on, and only can look at afterwards and say, gee, we would have probably preferred that not be done. I think there needs to be communication back and forth as. we
Trevor
go.
has a suggestion, Andrea.
Perfect.
We have the parts prices here on all the stuff that he's willing to do,
What he sees so far.
what he sees so far. So in my opinion, it should take about a day for him to tell us what it's gonna cost to take that box off and look at what else has to be done. If there's another $40,000 has to be done to it, once he takes the box off, put her back on, tie her on, and then we end that decision. Because that's what's leaving the open-ended bill here is when the box comes off. So take the box off, get a price on the box coming off, inspect the rest of it. We know what the clutch, the flywheel, if you're gonna go that extensive, do everything. I got no issue with that. But I have a big issue with this open-ended thing with, once they get the box off. What's the price for taking the box off? I'm sure we can afford a week here to wait for a quote or a couple of days to take the box off, see what you see. If it's a write-off, so be it. If not, then we'll, in my opinion, we will fix it. If there's gonna be another, I don't know what he's gonna find with the box off, like, he's got the air suspension, everything else, there's nothing else there.
To have that for next week, maybe?
Yeah. You could do that.
That's my suggestion.
And there is another meeting scheduled next week, so it's not like we're not going to get to, you know what I mean? It's not like there's going to be a big month gap, or again, like I said, if people need to pick up the phone and get some direction, I don't think that that's so impossible.
Yep, staff are already on it, they're taking some notes and they'll have us some information for the next meeting.
Perfect.
Next
Next
Wednesday.
week. Wednesday.
Do you also want me to look into Terra and short-term contract? Is that still a potential option or not?
I think you may as well bring that option just in case.
Because you could be assured that you're gonna be out of that truck for a minimum of a month,
Oh,
a
yeah.
minimum.
A minimum, yeah.
Just scratch it, better yet, scratch it for two with that kind of repairs.
But yeah.
And not that I don't mean any fault of the people that might be doing the work, but get the parts.
Parts, yes.
Price the parts, but receive the parts is another thing.
Okay, so that's what we'll do then. Bring back things. Okay, on to facilities manager report, I believe we're done.
1406, I think it is, the second.
Okay, so I'm planning on taking the docks out possibly tomorrow. Getting everything ready for winter, as in the lawnmower and other lawn care equipment to put away. We have no further progress to report on our change rooms at the beaches yet. They were behind schedule with another project, but they anticipate to have it finished by the contract end date of December 10th. I worked with some volunteers that kind of came forward that wanted to proceed with a Christmas craft sale and possibly a hunter supper. We did proceed forward with advertising for the craft sale. However, in the meantime, the regulations have changed again, and in talks with the health unit, we weren't able to proceed with that event. Everybody attending and the vendors would have had to have double vaccination. A number of the people already wanting to attend didn't have it, and we didn't feel it was fair to separate those individuals out, so we canceled the event. I'm still waiting to hear back from the health unit in regards to policy and procedure around the hunter supper. But we are hoping to go forward with that. In our joint municipal recreation group meetings, We had a sand sculpture contest that ran for the summer. We had 2 winners out of that. We have an online Halloween contest underway at present time. If you haven't seen it, check out Facebook. And we are planning for a Christmas one as well. The Brew Awards program continues. And the decision by the group was to add a second draw for November. And that would be for Black Friday. We also have fitness classes that have returned to the community center twice a week, run by Norma Woods. And again, there's different protocol for COVID with her, but her participants have to be double vaccinated, and she has diligently looked after that, so that is underway. And that is all I have.
Okay, questions for Jordan on facilities?
The
manager
proposal
report?
for the Hunter Supper, is that something that's coming before council?
I'm waiting to see if it's even a possibility and what we're gonna have to follow. I'm hoping to have word maybe for next week, but again, we gotta get advertising out and organize this. It might not even fly yet. We're still putting things together, so.
Okay, no more questions for Jordan. We'll move on to the health and safety committee.
All right, so the employee chainsaw training will commence shortly. Jordan's been certified as a trained trainer after completing the course. The course provided all materials for him to train others, and he can now train all members of the department as well as firefighters as needed. And currently we are working on our working at height safety awareness training, women's refresher, and violence and harassment refreshers with all the employees as they have time.
Any questions on health and safety? Hearing none.
There had been a request for report of incident reports. Is that something that is coming? Where does that fit into all of this new health and safety report?
All right, that's the beginning of that. What was your question?
There had been some discussion at previous meetings about incident reports. Is that something that is coming to council or will not be coming to council, or has that changed?
I was never aware of any incident reports to be brought to council. If there was an incident, we would be making a report, but
Yeah.
So I don't know, John, do you remember you had even asked about it, I believe, at the last meeting?
Would you repeat that, Andrea, please?
I specifically remember you had asked about the incident report on the truck incident that happened last winter. Is that something that, I guess, Tammy, my question is that something that a report would come to council because it was indicated it would be?
I guess it's something she'd have to look into to see if
Yeah.
that's actually part of.
And that might be part of our new policies that's
Yeah.
coming.
okay.
Well, but this happened last winter, and there were other reports that led into repairs, and that was, John just raised that at, whether it was the last regular meeting in the summer, or there's been so many. We never did get a response on that, and the
I
thing
don't
is,
recall any conversation
if
about it,
our
so-
policies change, that's all well and good, but at the time, we had a policy, and we still need to be compliant with that policy, no?
I guess we'd have to check into the policy and see if we have one, and see what it actually says.
Yeah.
Well, incident reporting is part of is a protocol, no?
Yes.
Nobody's aware of that?
Yes,
Yes.
we are.
Okay.
I don't recall receiving any incident reports at our last meeting, so
No.
there's nothing from the committee, there's nothing for the committee to present to council.
Yeah, and we've only recently begun the committee, so.
But we had asked about incidents that had happened previously that reports never came to council, even though the incidents had verbally been reported to council and discussed.
But I
at the
don't
open
think there
council.
was, I don't think there was ever reports filed. If that was
I bel-
an incident in the winter last year, it would have to come through Charlie from the roads.
You did fill a piece of paper out of the incident. Sheet one.
Did he?
I believe Charlie had indicated at that meeting that he had submitted a report.
It's pinned on the board there.
It was,
In Quadville?
And it'll have to be brought.
It's in Quadville,
It'll have
what's
to
in Quadville?
the report.
It doesn't go to the office?
It'll have to come to the office then.
I'm sorry?
It'll have to come to the office then at the next opportunity, the next health and safety, I guess.
I think it's there, cause I know Delmer had filmed it at that time.
Okay.
So will that be part of the normal health and safety report to council was my specific question. And what happens to the old, like outstanding incidences that we don't have reports for? Because with the requirement to file a report remains, right? Or no? Is that not what counts? I have a concern for that. We need to be compliant with filing reports, no?
Yes, any incidents would have a report filed, they would be brought up to health and safety committees, and then the report would be made to council.
So given this, like, I think is it fair to say that there's been some sort of restructuring or reorganizing of the health and safety committee? Because as I questioned in the past, we didn't get regular reports from a health and safety committee. What is our obligation? If someone could answer that question, whether it be tonight, I don't mean to blindside anyone, but what is our obligation for reporting incidences that have already occurred? Like the point was just made, since last month, whatever, there were no incidents to report, but what is our obligation for previous incidences that we know occurred, but we don't have a report? I just want to make
look
sure.
into that. I would have to look into that. I don't know what the protocol would be for that right now.
Okay, just to
We
ensure that
started
we
the
as a
health and safety
council,
committees, and we haven't had a meeting for over a year. So it will be looked into, but I can try and give you an answer at the next meeting.
I would appreciate it. I just want to make sure that council has done his obligation to have an oversight on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, item 6.1 correspondence, email from Quadville Recreation Association requesting further funding. So it is saying that they'd like to ask for support for the community center public bathrooms. They had a meeting last month, it included all treasurer's reports up to date, and with COVID many shutdowns, their bank account is substantially lower than the last year. So they're going through some hardships and would like to keep the bathrooms open. We would appreciate some monetary help, or to save money, we may have to close the public bathrooms. I think we've had this request before, something like it anyway. What's council's thoughts, if any? I know it's a private organization. We've kind of discussed that before. Are we setting precedent and giving money to a private organization?
We do every year.
We do, yes, and it's in the form of or it's called
But it's the same organization.
yeah.
Another area or whatever, right?
Yeah, we got it 3,000. They got it in the spring.
Yeah.
We haven't done that for,
Yep, no, it's.
When did we advance them?
In the spring,
But I don't see why they couldn't really close those washrooms after hunting season until open in the first of May or something, if that's a burden, but.
Well, this snowmobilers use them.
Is that their only washroom now since they built them, or do they?
Yes.
So to carry on functions, they really only keep the bathroom.
so. the
Well,
request-
they will keep using them for themselves, that's for sure.
Okay, but yeah, you wouldn't have to do the cleaning is what you're saying as much. And so-
They don't have a dollar figure on the request.
No, we don't. Are they not able to do their windows?
Yes, they could if they were vaccinated, but they're not. They have some people that's vaccinated, but they've chosen the route that they're not asking people for their vaccination certificates, so they just closed it down. I know
the workers aren't vaccinated?
some of them are. I
So-
know Daker runs their quarterly bingos. I was down there in October.
Okay.
And, you've shown your proof of vaccination.
Yeah.
Nothing to it.
Like, from what I understand and interpret from the regulations is workers and volunteers don't need to be vaccinated. It's only people coming in.
Well, that could be possible. I don't know. I don't get involved in the.
So
It's something they want to explore with folks, right?
in that case, like, say you as the facilities manager, are you to be vaccinated?
Workers and volunteers don't need to be vaccinated.
Okay, that's the
Unless
same,
you guys put a policy in place saying that.
that's the same as a restaurant. The cook and the server don't need to be,
Exactly.
but the people who are gonna eat the food.
Yeah.
There's something kind of missing in this.
Exactly.
Somebody just prepared your meal. Don't
Yeah,
you-
I don't know
you're gonna eat it, you have to eat it.
It's really wonky.
So it goes back to that essential or not essential.
Yeah.
It's essential to have a cook there to cook for you. So he doesn't have to be vaccinated, but if you want to go eat and pay, you have to be
But
vaccinated.
it's not essential to eat.
That's right. Well, can we give them just like last year, I think we give them their $3,000.
No, we gave it to them in
It's
March.
already given to them in March.
We can't give them until after the new year.
Yeah.
So they already got
Yes, for this year.
For 2021, yes.
I mean, we can make the effort as soon as 2022 rolls around to give them their chance.
Yeah.
I mean, what they're,
Well,
We
what-
usually-
First thing we have to
it.
know
That's
is
only 8
what
weeks.
the request would be for
an amount.
an amount, like. We're not far from, just as you said, being able to give them their
Yeah,
2022
allocation. Yeah.
donation, whatever you want.
Okay, so,
Really, it's only 8 weeks away.
yeah. And it sounds to me like if it's because they're not having their bingos, they probably can.
Mhm.
From what I'm reading anyway,
Okay, so.
workers and volunteers.
So a suggestion would be for them to contact Warren
Well, I
County
think I would
or,
look into it.
or look at the regulations. and
But they have to screen
Anybody
people
coming
coming
in,
in.
Okay,
And they don't.
and maybe they're not
want to-
comfortable doing that, and maybe that's why they chose.
So who screens at the, like, if there's a function at the arena?
So if it's a municipal function, it would be up to us. If it was somebody renting the facility, it's all on them. You make them aware that you need to follow these guidelines, it's up to you. Have a nice day.
So, and if they.
So like Lorna Woods's exercise classes, it's her responsibility to verify that her participants are up to code. If I was there and we were doing an Easter breakfast or whatever, people coming in, we would be responsible, the recreation committee or whoever is running that event would be responsible for checking.
It's a whole bunch of that is.
It's nutty.
yeah. Sorry to be dry.
I spent 3 days talking to the health team.
And it changed every day.
And yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna ask them to what they're, or is that what?
What is that council's wish to ask if they have a specific request amount?
Or you could just say that January 2022, you can advance their.
That's what I'm thinking.
Well, what about an advancement of a suggestion? What about an advance now of, say, $1,500 and then the remainder of their 3 do we traditionally give them in the new year?
Are they in a position where they have to have it now, or are they just being proactive and thinking ahead to the winter months when they think about heating and like,
Have no
what is
idea.
their situation?
I
How
have
soon
no
are they
idea.
wanting?
I don't know.
Like I reviewed our agreement here and it is supposed to be open 24/7,
Oh, yeah, I realize that, yeah.
you know, but it gets used more than you think.
Mm-hmm.
It does. I know just by people coming to the store looking for a public wash.
Yeah. I know,
No question about it.
oh yeah, they're busy because I know when they have the craft group on Wednesday, you'd be amazed at the amount of traffic into the bathrooms.
Well, can we ask for more information to perhaps deal with that on Wednesday night, or is that not a
Okay.
possibility, or what's people's thoughts on that?
I think that's fair. I mean, if we asked them if they wanted the option of the 1,500 now and the balance in the new year, if they were happy with that, that's probably a decent suggestion.
Can I just go back to that truck business for a minute? I thought of something here. We fixed the truck, what does the compactor need? Like, what kind of condition?
What I'm getting at is, it's the function at the back isn't fast enough for him.
It's what?
It's not functioning fast enough.
Fast enough.
Well, it's still working.
It's a little bit slower,
Yeah, but it's working.
But I mean, there's.
but we're always gonna have issues with that. With
Yeah,
the
there's-
solenoids and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, say the truck was ready to rock and roll, the box is put back on, is there anything immediately needed for that box? That you're aware of?
Not unless something was to give up or.
Okay, because why fix the truck if you gotta spend another $25,000 in the compactor? You know, I know we've spent money many times, but it is a piece of equipment that continues to be used as far as speed, well, that's.
You should issue the 1,500 as a prepaid expense.
So we'll reach out to them and see if that would be acceptable. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we're down to payments. Any questions on payments?
I would just remind council of the, I won't motion or second or approve the payments just because of my conflict.
I got one. Maybe this is a mistake, or maybe there was a few edges. $2,113 for cutting edges for the grader?
That's them special ones for Herbie's grader, the curved ones. Which one's last?
What they do?
Any other questions?
Sorry, I don't know if you guys cut out there, but I heard nothing there at all. Was,
Oh, they're just looking at their paperwork, so.
okay, did Trevor make a point or raise an issue?
He just asked about grader blade edges. So cutting
Okay.
it.
I did have a question about the reimbursement of overpayment. That was just an error in calculation or sale of something where something was straightened out, or what was the source of that? How did that come to be?
It was an overpayment when there was a transfer of the property. And then it was double paid by the old owner and the new owner, so we refunded it back to the old owner because they were the one that had overpaid.
Oh. And I just, yeah, I just concerned that they're, and everybody's good with that. There's no, when did that that's just in the last month?
Yes. The sale took place earlier, but it just got dealt with now because of circumstances, not ours, theirs.
Okay.
Okay, if there's no more questions on payments, the resolution says that we, the council for the township of Brunel and Niagara, hereby approve the general account number 9 in the amount of $421,000, $558.22 Roads account voucher number 9, $136,920.11. The recreation account voucher number 9, in the amount of $1848, 12 cents. The bicentennial park account voucher number 9, in the amount of $1,208.40. I need to move. Counselor,
I can move.
Counselor Colfeld, seconder. Counselor,
Somebody.
yeah, somebody,
Oh, sorry, yeah,
don't everybody put up their hand at once.
yeah,
Counselor Lippy, all in favor?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Gary? Yeah. Okay, payments done, we're down to severances. Item 8.1, Alex Davies. B66211, B67212, B68213 to create 3 new lots. Inspection work been done by the Public Works Superintendent and the CDO.
And there's no issues.
Okay, so to move that ahead, I need a mover.
first one is 8.1, the
The
first one.
The severance.
Yeah.
Alex Davies.
I need a mover on that. Councilor Colfeld, seconder, Councilor Rutledge. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. Item 8.2. The townships, the resolution says that the townships of Brudenell, Lindbach, and Raglan approve land severance application B 8621 Glen Road, Glen Road. Glen Road, that should be Glen Road, it shouldn't. Glen Road and Blaine Licky, sorry. For the creation of lot addition, all the conditions listed in the record plan report concerning this land purpose for lot addition purposes only. Moved by.
Well, I gotta, okay, we move it to get it on the floor, but I have a question.
Okay, Councilor Rutledge, seconded by Councilor Licky, and John has some questions.
Well, how is there access to this separate parcel?
The severed part is joined onto the part they have.
Yeah.
So it's
They're
not,
joining that on it?
yes, it's a lot addition.
Okay,
Yes.
So it's
Right.
not gonna have any building on it or no driveway or,
okay.
it's just,
So all in favor?
yes.
Yes. Everybody?
Yes.
Carried. Okay, and services, bylaws, none, other business, application for shoreline road house closure, Lower Wall Lake, details attached. There's okay to proceed, I guess we don't need a resolution on that one, Paul. It's just for,
No,
No.
we can just, if you, no one has an objection, we'll just proceed with circulation.
we'll proceed with circulation, council's okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay. Item 10.2. An ombudsman report, final report, we were required to pass a resolution stating how we intend to address this report. So the resolution says that the townships of Brudenell, Lindbach, and Raglan will address the recommendations of the ombudsman's report dated October 2021 as followed, and this comes exactly from the recommendations from the ombudsman's. Recommendation number 1, training will be provided to council and committee members when the new procedural bylaw is passed in the near future. Recommendation number 2, a new procedural bylaw will be passed within the next month. And recommendation number 3, their new procedural bylaw will have notice requirements. Recommendation number 4, we've been passing resolutions that clearly sets out the fact of the closed meeting and the general nature of the matters to be discussed. Since this has been brought to our attention. Recommendation 5, we have kept minutes of the closed meeting since January 1st, 2021. And recommendation number 6, we will make every effort that meeting records are complete and reflect the substantive and procedural items of decisions made. And recommendation number 7, we make every effort to ensure the integrity of our system for audio recording of the open and closed meetings. And this was directly related to a complaint to the ombudsman about a council meeting, a closed council meeting that occurred on October the 8th, 2019. Any comments by council?
No comment.
If there's no comments, then I'll need a mover to put forth on that resolution. Councilor, Councilor Rutledge. And seconder.
I'll second
Again, I remind council just that I'm abstaining from voting or discussions because of Mike's declared conflict. I'll just remind that you won't, that's why I will not respond, Sheldon. Thank you.
So all in favor of the resolution? Okay, it's scary. The report will be filed on the township website.
So you want me to monitor it on the website? We can do that.
Okay, so there is a copy on the website of the ombudsman, I guess,
Yeah.
if council wishes. Would you like a copy of that on our own website? I mean, whether you look at it at others or. you
It's
look at theirs.
available to the public.
Yeah, it's available to the public. Okay, item 10.3 then, Opeongo Hills Nordic Ski Club requests to name a portion of Drone Road leading to the ski club. So the Opeongo Hills Nordic Ski Club has made a request that right now Drone Road splits at a Y and leads to confusion for skiers and emergency personnel. We would like to rename a portion of the road that leads to the ski club to approved name from the above list. And they're wondering if council will be in favor of doing this. And their first choice of renaming that road, of course, they would like Nordic Lane. So I guess have we checked with the county as that is?
County said we have to get it passed through council first.
Okay, so would we need to pass a resolution to do that?
Yes,
Okay. Questions with council or?
I don't have an issue with it.
Okay.
well, I think they ran into a problem last year when they
Yeah.
needed rescue or ambulance
I
or
think so,
something and there was no road thing.
Okay.
It's a Nordic one. No, 1 second.
So I need a mover on that.
I will move.
Councilor Coco. Seconder.
I'll second
I can
Councilor-
second.
Okay, item 10.4, it's just a notice of the beginning of our audit planning, McMillan Associates audit planning and consolidated statements of township VLR. See attached correspondence, I guess we're required as members of council to sign
Yes,
this, we go through this every year, so.
yeah, so I'll just pass it around the table. And
I have a question, under questions on the last page,
okay,
they've got audit questions and requests. How do we deal with this?
So it sounds like you can respond to the question probably directly to the auditor.
yeah.
I would just like to see the responses to these questions filled out before anyone's asked to sign it, no? Like, what you're passing around there, Valerie, does it have the answers to these questions?
No, these questions are for council to identify if they think there's an oversight over the process of identifying and responding to a fraud risk. So if you think there's a risk of fraud in our municipality or someone's not doing something, you can bring that to the attention of the auditors and they can look into it. If you think they're not doing their job properly.
Well, this is a pretty broad, like, I'm just on page 3, it says fraud. To help us in identifying and responding to the risks of fraud within an entity, we would appreciate your responses to the following questions in the spaces provided below. So is that not all of council supposed to answer that? What oversight, if any, do you provide over management processes for identifying, responding to fraud risks? Management's processes could include policies, procedures, programs, or controls that serve to prevent and detect and defer fraud. So what's our answer to that?
So basically, that question is for you as an individual to respond to the auditor, I believe.
Well, I think that, like, they audit according to the accounting principles that govern auditors, and they do test checks and cross references and all kinds of stuff to detect and if there's any fraud. The township here doesn't really have any policies on fraud detection that you would do.
The reason I asked it, I've just never seen it.
Yeah,
Well, it asks us to sign on page 4, the acknowledgement of council. We have read and reviewed the above disclosures and understand and agree the comments herein. So all I'm saying is, are we not making any comments as a council?
I've seen that before.
Yeah, I think it's probably just now.
No, that's been on before.
It asks here, do we have any knowledge of any actual suspected or alleged fraud, including misrepresentation or misappropriation of assets or manipulation of the financial statements affecting the entity? If so, please provide the details. Do we have any knowledge of any actual suspected or alleged? That's pretty comprehensive.
well, do you have any suspicion about any of your employees?
So that is my question. If all of council is going to sign this and it's being passed around the table, are there not going to be any answers submitted to that? You're just going to leave it blank? Is that, I'm asking that, is that what you're asking us to do?
Or you can just put none and no, unless you know of someone that's suspected or alleged of fraud, or somebody that's misappropriating your assets or whatever.
Was this asked last year too? This form, I think, comes every year and it's the same.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Oh, it's just stating this comes every year, and I don't think that was on last year's form. That
It wasn't on last year's, Iris? You don't think so? So why would it be on this year and not last year?
She said, yes, it was.
Oh, so we've never filled that out, just signed it.
I think it's the question is there, if you as an individual suspects that you can talk to the auditor.
Well, can we find that out for sure? Because I just don't want to sign something unless we know exactly what's expected of us. Because, I mean, it's been an interesting year. So we are all attesting that there has been no allegations, no suspected, that is in effect what we're acknowledging.
Well, if you have any suspicion about any of your staff, now's the time to bring it forward.
Are you, I don't know where you go. I thought it was just on a broader sense. I didn't say anything about staff.
Well, who else would it be? Council?
Well, it talks about our policies. It talks about, it's a pretty broad question. I certainly didn't take that from it. Is this something that you're looking for signatures tonight?
Well, Sheldon has signed, John has signed, and I have signed.
Well, I don't know of any wrongdoing, so why wouldn't I?
Again, if that's something that, again, just a question. When I read that, it was, I've never noticed those questions before.
I've seen those questions before. And I'm
Pardon
asking,
me?
I've seen those questions before, and I'm asked by the auditor every year before he sends this out.
And I sign a statement to this every year that I'm not aware of anything happening or misrepresentation of funds or anything. And I sign that statement that there isn't.
You also asked me when I come in to sign checks too, if I was aware of it.
Yeah.
I would be interested in seeing last year's form and just comparing it to ensure that it's the same. It just caught me off guard, that's all. I'd like to see it before I sign it.
Well, I've just got a question for you. Do you actually assume that there's somebody here committing fraud?
I haven't made any assumptions. I just want to know what I'm signing. I would hope that you wouldn't make an assumption on my behalf. Please don't.
Not in your fund list.
Exactly.
Accusing.
Yes. No, you're exactly right, Valerie, and that's enough of that.
I'm sorry, I'm missing the statement. What was that was said?
Well, basically, as far as we're concerned, you're committing harassment.
I'm sorry?
Item 10.5, Recreation Committee. Being that we don't have an active Recreation Committee, at this time, we need a resolution to suspend the bylaws till the decision on the direction. This will take in a policy or bylaws adopted. I need a mover on that resolution. Counselor.
Arnold.
Calfell, Counselor, seconder.
You said that so fast, I missed half.
That the townships of Brudenell, Lindauer, and Raglan at this time suspend the Recreation Committee bylaws 2016-07 and 2016-16 as they are no longer active committees and that they will be reviewed in the future with a new bylaw and terms of reference.
Before the vote,
So I need a mover. Counselor Calfell, move. I need a seconder. Counselor,
No, sir.
Counselor Rutledge. Any comments? Before I call for the
when we do the vote, could I ask for a recorded vote, please?
Yep, we haven't started the vote, so you may.
I'm sorry?
We haven't begun the vote yet, so you may ask for a recorded vote.
Yes, please. So the statement I would like to make on that is that has the rec members that are still on rec, have they been consulted at all about this?
There is no rec members and council is the ultimate decision maker.
Well, have there been more resignations or more
There
letters
will-
sent that people have been removed?
In the future, there will be a new bylaw and a terms of reference that will be applied to any recreation committee.
I'm sorry, that's not what I asked. My question was, have there been any more resignations? Has Pam Spence resigned?
The only person I know that was left on the Recreation Committee was Pam Spence. There was no one else. There's been we've had the police check. A few people have picked those up again, but nothing has come back in. So there really is no rec committee.
So again, was Pam consulted about this being dissolved to get her input?
So you can have her input, but it's still up to council whether they decide to cancel it or not.
Again, was she consulted or is she aware that this is being proposed as a rec member?
No, because of one person rec committee, what is she gonna do?
So again, there were a few other individuals on rec. Marg Weikenthal was on rec. They're like, as a courtesy, do we feel as a council that we're going to absolve committees without consulting with the members that remain? Is that a policy or an unspoken rule that we have?
I don't know, you tell us.
I don't know of one like that.
Okay, Valerie's gonna do the vote. So.
Councilor.
I just am concerned that when we have members still on rec that have been consistent, Pam's been a rec member for years and years and years. In fact, council made an exception for her to be a rec member. So we're gonna take that committee away. The one long-standing individual that's been on it all these years, we're not gonna do them a courtesy of speaking with them about what they see could happen here with rec?
And they can be a part of the next organization, because there will be one. Proceed with the vote, Valerie.
Counselor Woodrick,
For or against?
Okay.
It's no vote.
I'm sorry?
For or against? the
I-
res-
I'm against the resolution to absolve the rec committee.
Iris,
Well, it's not really saying to. Just because it's saying here, there are no active recreation committee at this time. So we're just suspending, right?
yes,
Yes,
Till we actually
We
do
actually-
a policy and a bylaw,
exactly.
which is coming up very shortly anyways.
yes.
So I am a yes.
I'm not gonna comment,
So that would be
and please
against,
note that.
it will be against any,
If you don't comment.
if you don't comment, it's a no vote. Okay. Rutledge,
Then I was doing suspending it for now.
and Sheldon,
Yes. The resolution's carried 3-2. Okay, we're done confirmation bylaw. Would you like to read it, or-
yeah. Being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the council, the corporation, the township of Brunel, Lindup, and Raglan, first and second reading. Being the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of council, October 27th, 2021. Read a third time.
Okay, so we need to move on that. Counselor Licky. Seconder.
Yeah,
Rutledge. All in favor?
Yes.
no, yeah, so.
Yes. We're not adjourned yet, John. We've got one more to do. All in favor of the confirmation bylaw? Yes.
Yes.
Henry? Okay, so the next thing is adjournment. This meeting adjourned at 10:06.
We didn't deal with the
Sorry.
chairs. Do we want to do that? Or did we pull that?
They're gonna come up tomorrow.
Pick them up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have our decision anyway.
Yeah.
Just get Trevor to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John and I already know.
Okay, so then motion to adjourn, mover at 10:06 PM. Any mover on that, Counselor Calfrell, seconder, Counselor Lipke, all in favor?
Yes.
Yeah.
And this meeting is adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
Right.